Chapter 348. On the sixth day after Yi Chen entered the stunning sky, the first extreme astral reaching expert arrived at the Bloodstone Islands. He was wearing a white robe and a bamboo hat. As he walked, he seemed like a fluttering white cloud, carrying an indescribable sharpness. The leader of the 7 great bladesmen, the white-robed bladesman. It's the white-robed bladesman. I heard that his saber intent has already reached consummation. He is good at the state of wind. With one saber strike, the saber chi is like the wind. It is hard to defend against, and it is everywhere. Sword artists and blade artists are the easiest to become extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Among the known extreme astral reaching realm warriors, there are 3 who are either sword artists or blade artists. But, if we were to talk about the most powerful extreme astral reaching realm warrior, it would be the head of the top dozens of sword artists, the core headmaster of the Heartless Martial School, Pei Yudao. It's hard to say. The white-robed blade artist has the record of killing 7 late astral reaching realm warriors with 1 blade attack. No one in the South Rudra region has been able to break that record. Everyone on the islands was shocked by the arrival of the white-robed blade artist. As long as the Sea of Souls realm warriors did not show up, the white-robed blade artist would be equivalent to the king of astral reaching realm warriors. His deterrent power was even greater than that of a rank 7 martial institution. Every martial institution would take pride in raising an expert like the white-robe blade artist, since it was not easy to raise a Sea of Souls realm warrior. It would require a huge amount of luck and talent. Blood evil beasts are hard to come by in decades. Inside their bodies, there is a blood evil stone that can train the willpower. The more powerful the willpower, the higher the chance of reaching the Sea of Souls realm. God is helping me. The white-robed blade artist's residence was quite far from the Bloodstone Islands. This time, he had come to the Star Regional Lake in search of some spirit herbs. Who would have thought that he would hear the news of a blood evil beast appearing in the blood demon battlefield, so he immediately rushed over. The blood evil stone inside the blood evil beast was a key to breaking through to the Sea of Soul realm. Talented people could become Sea of Soul realm experts even faster. An expert stuck at the peak of late astral reaching realm would have a sliver of a chance to break through. It was simply a must-have item for martial artists under Sea of Soul realm. The second layer of the blood demon battlefield rejects Sea of Soul realm experts. Inside, extreme astral reaching experts are the kings. Even if one's luck is bad, one can still obtain 1 or 2 blood evil stones. Restraining his excitement, the white-robed blade artist stepped out and entered the blood-red whirlpool. Second floor of the blood demon battlefield. Blood sword artist and master blood demon didn't teleport out, they stayed in the demon-defying fortress. 5 years ago, in the Black Dragon Empire's auction, a blood evil stone suddenly appeared and sold for more than 400,000 mid-rank soul stones. That stone was not that big, but it was enough to make the core master of the Floating Mountain Martial School become an extreme astral reaching realm warrior, and have the hope of breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm. If you and I can get a blood evil stone, it would not be hard for us to become extreme astral reaching realm warriors. It would be impossible to say that the blood demon was not tempted. Otherwise, he would not have stayed in the fortress. Blood Swordsman said, "Do you think we have the strength to seize the blood evil stone? It is impossible to take the blood evil stone, but it is not impossible to get the blood evil stone. When all the blood evil beasts get out of the mass burial mound, that will be our chance." The blood fiend stone was not as useful as the blood fiend stone, but as long as there were enough of it, it was still very useful. Blood fiend stone? Blood sword was a bit tempted. Reaching his current level, it was almost impossible to make any progress. If the willpower could be trained, then it would be much easier for him to comprehend the mentality, which would also be useful for his sword intent. More importantly, the willpower would be the key to breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm. Who would not want to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior and be on the same level as the rank 6 martial institutions? By then, the whole South Rudra region would be his backyard. And the blood demon did not invite the blood sword artist out of kindness. He was willing to split the loot equally, but just in case. If there were more blood evil beasts in the deeper parts of the mass burial mound, then the 2 of them would have a higher chance of escaping. If one of them ran into a blood evil beast, then there would be no chance of survival. All right, it is settled then. Don't play any tricks. Bloodsword was still a bit scared of the blood demon. The blood demon laughed. You don't have to worry. If we work together, then we will both benefit. If we split, then we will both lose. You and I both understand this logic. Wait till this is over. I will make that brat pay a huge price. The bloodsword artist looked cold, his face twisted. Hearing him, the blood demon was secretly gloating. His identity was a bit special, and he could not show himself in front of the world. Therefore, he could only chase after Yi Chen, and did not dare to destroy the Sky Cloud Martial School directly. If he did that, then he might be surrounded by a lot of powerful warriors, and might even attract the attention of Sea of Souls realm warriors. However, the bloodsword artist was different. It was not the first time he had destroyed a martial institution, and those Sea of Souls realm warriors did not care about it. There were a lot of martial institutions in the South Rudra region anyway, so one more or one less would not make any difference. The third sky. The first sky, the surprising sky. The pure wood Yuan Qi is the closest to the origin of the wood mentality. This is indeed true. Outside of the surprising sky, trying to learn the wood mentality from plants would be unimaginably difficult. But here, all of the mysteries are contained within. All I need to do is to learn it face to face. In just a couple of days, Yi Chen had made great progress in his wood mentality. Of course, it was because of his comprehensive ability, but it was also because of the surprising sky. Green lotus sprout. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen's pupils shone with a hint of green light. Chin. The blue longsword was taken out of its scabbard, and a beam of blue sword light merged with the endless wood Yuan Qi. Then, something shocking happened. Amidst the wood Yuan Qi that was like a green river, a green lotus slowly grew. The process that seemed both real and fake made people feel as if they were watching a green lotus seed grow into a green lotus. Shortly after, a lotus flower bloomed in the center of the green lotus, revealing a faint purple color. Green lotus sky reaching. After throwing out a sword attack, Yi Chen's second sword attack followed right after. The green lotus seemed to have eaten a great tonic, growing to dozens of meters tall within a second. The lotus reached up to the sky, and its roots dug into the wood Yuan Qi. Woo! Slowly letting out a breath, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. With the green lotus sword art as a reference, it was indeed much easier than creating his own sword movements and mentalities. In just a couple of days, his wood mentality had almost reached the same level as his thunder mentality. It had also reached its limit, and the eighth movement of the green lotus sword art, the green lotus sprout, was even more powerful than the sky-shattering clouds, and even more powerful than the kill heart sword attack. There seems to be a problem. The thunder mentality has reached its limit, and it is starting to be out of sync with the cloud mentality. The wood mentality is the same, and it is starting to diverge from the water mentality. It seems like once I break through the scope of the mentality, everything will automatically separate. Only when my realm is high enough can they continue to complement each other. Ever since the thunder mentality had reached its limit, Yi Chen's self-created sword movement, the sky-shattering clouds, was no longer dominated by the cloud mentality, but by the thunder mentality. The thunder mentality even started to reject the cloud mentality, thinking that the cloud mentality was a burden that would stop it from breaking through to a higher realm. I will call you Greenwood Sword. Among the three swords, only the destruction sword had a name. Yi Chen thought for a while, and decided to give the blue longsword a name that was easy to understand, Greenwood. It is not that easy to break through the scope of the mentality. Let me start to train the water mentality. In the stunning sky, there were only the more common elemental energies, such as metal elemental energy, wood elemental energy, water elemental energy, fire elemental energy, earth elemental energy, thunder elemental energy, wind elemental energy, and so on. The ethereal elemental energy was almost extinct, and cloud elemental energy was one of them. Among all the Yuan Qi, the water Yuan Qi was more like a river. Some of the water Yuan Qi was like an ancient well without any ripples, while some had huge waves, and some were sparkling. All the water-related sceneries outside the shocking sky could be seen in the water Yuan Qi. Some of the sceneries that could not be seen could also be seen and sensed. Astral reaching realm warriors use mentality as the king. Once my water mentality reaches its limit, combined with the wood mentality, even extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not be able to do anything to me. There were 3 conditions to become an extreme astral reaching realm warrior, and Yi Chen had already fulfilled 2 of them. One was to have a mid-rank defensive artifact and an attacking artifact, and the second was to have his mentality at an extremely high level. If it were not for his cultivation, Yi Chen would have already become an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. Unknowingly, another 5 days had passed. There were a lot of astral reaching realm warriors gathered on the Bloodstone Islands. They had all heard about the appearance of the blood evil beasts in the blood demon battlefield. None of them were prepared to leave, but they did not dare to go in recklessly either. They wanted to see if they could find their own fortune. The core master of the Heartless Martial School, Pei Yudao, is here. Someone in the crowd yelled, and everyone looked over. Above the Star Regional Lake, a human figure flew over at an extreme speed. Shoo! The figure landed on the nearest island. He was wearing blue robes, carrying 2 swords on his back. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and he looked to be in his 30s or 40s. Pei Yudao was extremely low-key. He did not even look at the crowd as he stepped into the blood-red swirl. Soon, another 2 people arrived at the same time. The one in the north was wearing a big red robe. He had a bulky body, and as he moved, a fierce blade aura spread out from time to time, leaving blade marks on the surface of the lake. The one in the south was even more aggressive. On his way over, he purposely released a powerful chi flow, which smashed into some of the astral reaching realm warriors on the way, but none of them dared to say anything. The core master of the Fire Spirit Martial School, Gold Rock. The core master of the Floating Mountain Martial School, Shun Tujue. They all say that Gold Rock is aggressive, but Shun Tujue is even more aggressive than him. Thinking about it, the Floating Mountain Martial School is the leader of the 6 rank 6 martial institutions, and Shun Tujue himself is an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. It is inevitable for him to be so arrogant. Everyone stood far away, discussing in a low voice. Shun Tujue, I heard that the core master of the Floating Mountain Martial School, Jin Huang, was troubled by a brat. I wonder if it is true or not. As a core master of a rank 6 martial school, Gold Rock was quite well informed. After all, Yi Chen was not a nobody. He was the #1 warrior in the Hidden Dragon rank, and his fame among the young warriors was unparalleled in the past 1,000 years. It would be hard not to notice him. Shun Tujue sneered, just a little bastard. This time, I am here for the Blood Evil Stone, and I will take care of him along the way. I, Shun Tujue, would like to see how many heads he has. Hee, be careful not to fail miserably. Gold Rock teased. This kind of small character is not worth my attention. The possibility of failing miserably will not happen to me. After I kill him, I will go and destroy the Sky Cloud Martial School. I believe the expert behind him will not go against the Floating Mountain Martial School for a dead martial genius. Shun Tujue didn't put Yi Chen in his eyes at all. This time, he had volunteered to kill Yi Chen in the Blood Demon battlefield. In any case, this matter was nothing more than a trivial matter to him. He could settle it with a wave of his hand, so why wouldn't he do it? As the 2 entered the Blood Demon battlefield, the number of extreme astral reaching realm warriors had reached 4. Someone else is here. I have never heard of this person. It seems like the hidden extreme astral reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region are not the ones on the surface. The 5th extreme astral reaching realm warrior had arrived. Chapter 349. The astral reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region are getting weaker and weaker. These people are not even worth 2 or 3 attacks from me. His long black robe fluttered in the air. The speaker's voice was dry like wood and stone, sounding like 2 pieces of flint colliding with each other. His eyes were full of disdain and cruelty. Brother Whitebone, the Blood Demon has been in the Blood Demon battlefield a lot. Let's go in and meet him first and learn about the situation inside. Then, we can discuss the plan to kill the blood evil beasts. There was another person right next to the black-robed man. His robe was purple, and there was an abstract drum embroidered on his chest. Just like the drum, his body was extremely short, and his round belly was like a huge millstone. The black-robed man waved his sleeves. Sound wave, I will leave the task of finding the blood demon to you. I don't have the time for that. My goal is the blood evil stone. As for the plan, I don't need it. The short man with the big belly was indeed one of the 108 ghost warriors from the 9 ghost cult. He forced a laugh, since the white-bone ghost warrior was one of the 3 most powerful ones among all the ghost warriors. He had always been arrogant, and it would be impossible for him to discuss the plan. So, he said helplessly, "All right then. Go in." With both of his hands behind his back, the white-bone ghost warrior lightly flew into the blood-red swirl, and the sound wave ghost warrior followed. No one on the island could recognize them. Shocking sky. There was no day or night, and the inside was filled with amazing colors at all times. These different colors were clearly separated from each other, and did not interfere with each other. Water is both hard and soft. When it is hard, it can break through mountains and drown the land. When it is soft, it flows without a sound. This is the limit of the poetic perspective of water. Soaking in the water Yuan Qi, Yi Chen closed his eyes and tried to feel the mysteries of the water Yuan Qi. From time to time, he would throw out a sword attack, simulating the things he had learned. The sword attack he had thrown out seemed normal, but once it was infused into the water Yuan Qi, it immediately brought up a huge wave. A long torrent of water shot out directly, wreaking havoc everywhere. The torrent slowed down and suddenly turned into a small stream, flowing without a sound. A peaceful and gentle poetic perspective rose up. 2 hours. 6 hours. 1 day. 3 days. After 3 days, Yi Chen took out his greenwood sword. He shook his wrist, and the bright blue sword light was warm like water. It was like a clear spring, but also like a flood. Rumble. All of the water Yuan Qi in the area exploded under the influence of the sword light. Every single one of those water drops could kill an early astral reaching realm warrior. The concept of water has finally reached the limit. Who? Slowly letting out a long breath, Yi Chen opened his eyes. In the past, his eyes were sharp and sharp, but now there was a hint of gentleness in them. It was like a diamond that had lost its edges and corners, or a gem that had lost its extravagance, returning to its original simplicity. I wonder how powerful the Green Lotus sword art would be when I combine the extreme water mentality and wood mentality. With the same set of sword skills, the stronger the concept, the more powerful the sword skill would be. Now, Yi Chen had comprehended the concept of water and the concept of wood to the limit. If he took another step forward, it would surpass the scope of the concept. Even he couldn't estimate the power of the combination. Green Lotus Mountain split. The water Yuan Qi was separated, and a massive green lotus-shaped sword light was thrown out. Right then, all of the water Yuan Qi in the area seemed to be a bit messed up. Buzz. A horrifying sword intent spread out like a tornado, spreading out at an extreme speed. It was something that Yi Chen had not expected. Completed sword intent. The sword light sliced open the river-like water Yuan Qi and the metal Yuan Qi that was connected to the water Yuan Qi. Yi Chen turned a blind eye to it, as all of his attention was focused on the changes of the sword intent. After absorbing a huge amount of sword-shaped plants, Yi Chen's sword intent had stopped at around 97%, while the completed sword intent was 99%. Do not underestimate this little bit of difference. According to normal progress, it would take at least 1.5 years, or at most dozens of years, for Yi Chen to reach the completed sword intent. Yi Chen had a feeling that no matter how many sword-shaped plants he had, he would not be able to reach the completed sword intent that easily. He would be able to reach 98% at most, which would be very close to the completed sword intent. After all, once the sword intent was completed, it would already be the limit. Judging on power, the completed sword intent would not be as powerful as the completed sword intent. It would just be a little more experience and comprehension, which would allow him to reach the next level. Hey! There is a misty long sword in the middle of my eyebrows. It is extremely surreal. The soul ocean was the place where the soul power resided. Yi Chen had almost noticed the abnormality in there within a second. He was a bit surprised, as he had never heard of anything like this happening to the completed sword intent. Was it inevitable, Or was it just a coincidence? Or did it have something to do with the Battle King's sword intent? Especially the immortal mentality. After thinking for a long time, Yi Chen still couldn't figure it out. Only at this moment did he realize how lacking his own knowledge was. Actually, he couldn't be blamed. Sky Cloud Sect was merely an 8th grade sect at its peak, and the strongest among them were astral reaching experts. They themselves didn't know many things, and couldn't compare to a 7th grade sect with a profound background, not to mention a 6th grade sect with thousands of years of history. Living in such an environment, the things Yi Chen knew were limited, and the high-level knowledge was even more of a blur to his eyes. Before the completed sword intent, its might wasn't inferior to other people's completed sword intent. Now that my sword intent has reached completion, its might has completely surpassed the scope of the completed sword intent. Yi Chen didn't think about the things he couldn't figure out anymore. He only knew that because of his comprehension of the mentality, his sword intent had naturally broken through the shackles and rushed into a whole new realm. If he could contend against extreme astral reaching experts before, then the current him wouldn't need to be afraid of any extreme astral reaching expert. He had a premonition that the abnormality in his soul ocean was his opportunity, a sign that he was ahead of others. Blood Demon Battlefield, Mass Burial Mound. Haha, White Robe Blade Artist, you've been here for so long, but you still haven't taken care of a single blood evil beast. It seems like you're not worthy of your reputation. Shun Tujue blew away the incoming blood evil beast with one palm attack as he mocked the White Robe Blade Artist. The White Robe Blade Artist frowned. Although he was the first one to arrive at the Blood Demon battlefield, the blood evil beasts inside would gather at the mass burial mound after slaughtering human experts. There were rarely any of them alone. With his power, dealing with one blood evil beast was already a bit difficult, not to mention 2 or more. Hurricane Cut. Being mocked by others was always a bit annoying. The White Robe Blade Artist activated his Zhen Yuan and threw out a blade attack towards the blood evil beast's thin earthworm-like body. Shoo! Shoo! The air vibrated, and the blood evil beast's body was split into 3 parts. Only by taking out the blood evil stone can the blood evil beast not recover. The White Robe Blade Artist squinted his eyes as he waved his long blade in a crisscross pattern. A triangular hole suddenly appeared on the blood evil beast's body. The powerful blade chi sliced through that triangular blood shadow, revealing a fist-sized blood-red stone. Shoo! Using his left hand, the blood-red stone landed in the White Robe Blade Artist's hand. Finally got a blood evil stone, the White Robe Blade Artist let out a breath. Speaking of which, he had to thank the other extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Without them, he would have been attacked by all the blood evil beasts. Hihi, it is only one blood evil beast. Let me take care of it. Shun Tujue's body was covered with a dark purple light. Invisibly, the White Robe Blade Artist and the rest of the people seemed to see a shadow on his body. They saw Shun Tujue make a grabbing gesture in the air, grabbing the middle part of the blood evil beast's body. Break! Zhen Yuan exploded, and a small part of the blood evil beast's body was ripped off by Shun Tujue. There was a blood evil stone inside. Martial Spirit. The core master of the Fire Spirit Martial School, Kai Jinyang, yelled out. It is not a complete martial spirit. It is just a prototype. The core master of the Heartless Martial School, Pei Yudao, took a deep breath and said slowly. Martial Spirit Embryo. Indeed. The White Bone Ghost Warrior had a serious look on his face. It was said that sword artists had sword intent, and blade artists had blade intent. Among all the warriors, they would stand out from the rest. However, there was a balance in everything. When anyone reached the Sea of Souls realm, they would be able to form their own martial spirit. The so-called martial spirit was the embodiment of the martial intent, while the sword intent was the sword intent. Obviously, the sword intent and the martial spirit were not equal existences. Once the sword artist trained the sword intent to completion and reached the Sea of Souls realm, the sword intent would transform into the sword spirit, and only then would the sword spirit and the martial spirit be equal. In other words, in order to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior, one would have to have enough martial intent or sword intent. Normally, the martial intent would not be able to compete with the sword intent because of its fragmentation. But, when the martial intent was extremely condensed, it would have the tendency to turn into the martial spirit, which would be the prototype of the martial spirit, which would be more powerful than the completed sword intent. Although the attacking power of the martial spirit was not as powerful as the sword spirit, the martial spirit could not only amplify the attacking power, but also the defense. This was something that the sword spirit could not compete with. The sword spirit was the embodiment of the attacking power, and it had never changed. Correspondingly, whether it was below the Sea of Souls realm or above, the sword artist represented the attacking power, but the defense was relatively weak. There were always gains and losses, and the sword artist had always been an extreme existence. Of course, the sword spirit was much harder to condense than the martial spirit, and the sword artist would find it harder to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior than the majority of the warriors. The advantages they had in the beginning would become disadvantages when they reached the Sea of Souls realm. Even so, there were still many people who chose to become sword artists, choosing the extreme attacking power. Therefore, many warriors would not refine their martial spirit when they had enough martial intent, but would directly enter the Sea of Souls realm and comprehend the sword intent. During the Sea of Souls realm, they would refine the sword intent into the sword spirit. This kind of method had a certain degree of danger, and not everyone could catch up to the top. This Shun Tujue has actually condensed his martial intent to such a degree. Seems like he's not far from breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm. Whitebone Ghost General was well aware of the terror of the martial spirit. Even if it was just the prototype of the martial spirit, its irresistible martial intent was not something an ordinary extreme astral reaching expert could contend against. After all, before the martial intent condensed into the prototype of the martial spirit, its effects were rather scattered, and could not be reflected in the slightest. On the other hand, the sword intent condensed into the shape of a sword, concentrating its power at a single point, allowing it to be utilized at an early stage. The blade intent was the same. With this blood evil stone, my martial intent will become even more powerful. Refining the martial intent into the martial spirit might not be an impossible matter. Holding the blood evil stone, Shun Tujue laughed heartily. Chapter 350. Pei Yudao frowned. There were also strong and weak extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Before coming here, he did not think anyone could be his opponent, since all of his martial arts were top-rank Earth realm, and he had trained them to a very high level. His sword intent had also reached perfection, without any flaws, which was the true extreme astral reaching realm. Who would have thought that Shun Tujue had already formed a martial spirit before reaching the Sea of Souls realm? Although it was not complete, it was still in its embryonic form. It seems like that blood evil stone from the auction 5 years ago had given Shun Tujue quite a lot. Pei Yudao slowly let out a breath, his expression relaxing. Even if Shun Tujue had formed his martial spirit, he would not be afraid, since battles were not one-sided. Taking out his long sword, Pei Yudao found an opportunity and slashed out. Puff, puff, puff. In the sky, sharp flashes crisscrossed. At this moment, besides Shun Tujue, no one could tell how many sword attacks Pei Yudao had thrown out. Even with the advantage of his martial spirit, Shun Tujue could only barely tell. The details were a bit blurry. The flashes disappeared, and the blood evil beast that had just jumped out of the ground was sliced into pieces. The middle piece quickly disintegrated, revealing the blood evil stone inside. Impressive. No wonder Pei Yudao has the title of the #1 astral reaching realm warrior in the whole South Rudra region. Far away from the mass grave, some powerful astral reaching realm warriors were secretly shocked, knowing that they would not have the slightest bit of power to resist under Pei Yudao's sword attack. Rock Heart Cut. Iron Bone Godly Claw. Gold Rock and White Bone Ghost General did not want to be left behind, both performing their ace attacks. The thin layer that isolated the shocking sky was cracked open, and a rich and pure yuan qi flow leaked out in all directions. As soon as it touched the air, it quickly became chaotic and violent, shattering the clouds in the sky. With a shoo, Yi Chen flew out along the direction of the yuan qi flow. Right now, I am at the top in every aspect. The only thing I am lacking is my own cultivation. Unfortunately, if I want to reach the peak level from mid-astral reaching realm, I would need at least dozens of earth astral pellets. After all, When I was only one step away from the peak level early astral reaching realm, I had already used up 2 earth astral pellets. That alchemist could only make 10 pellets a year, so I bought the remaining 5. It wasn't that Yi Chen hadn't thought of buying better pills or spirit grasses than the earthly astral pill, but unfortunately, these things were extremely rare and couldn't be bought with spirit stones. Otherwise, he would have prepared them when he was in the Martial City's trading hall. In any case, he had a lot of spirit stones with him. Forget it. It's better to cultivate on your own. Elixirs can only be found by luck. There's no need to rush. Yi Chen, on the other hand, was not in a hurry to make a breakthrough. His cultivation base was not that powerful, but he could spend 10 times the effort to improve his martial arts and mentality, as well as his sword intent. Plus, with his current power, he was already at the peak of the astral reaching realm. The most important thing was to maintain a good mentality. Let's go check out the Bloodstone Islands. I wonder what kind of secrets that blood evil beast has. I can't let go of the blood demon and the blood sword artist either. Shoo. His shadow flashed continuously as Yi Chen's speed reached 3 times the speed of sound. The news about the blood evil beast appearing in the Bloodstone Islands had spread out in the whole South Rudra region at an unimaginable speed. Although a lot of astral reaching realm warriors did not dare to have any ideas about the blood evil beast, they would not let go of the blood evil stone in the area where the beast lived. Especially the powerful warriors from all the martial institutions, they valued the blood evil stone even more, since it was a treasure that could increase one's mental power. Kai Hua, the headmaster, and the others will take care of the blood evil beast. Our target is the blood evil stone. If we run into any weaker astral reaching realm warriors, you will take care of them. On one of the islands, a group of people wearing red robes appeared. They all had the symbol of the Fire Spirit Palace on their clothes. The leader said to the handsome teenager next to him. The handsome teenager's eyebrows were like blades as he said confidently, "Second Master, don't worry. Below the late astral reaching realm, I, Yang Chihua, am not afraid of anyone." The leader was an elder in his 60s. He was very confident about Yang Chihua's power. In the 2 years after the Hidden Dragon rank competition, Yang Chihua had been training even harder. Finally, he had managed to reach the astral reaching realm half a year ago. As one of the rank 6 martial institutions, the Fire Spirit Palace did not lack pellets that could increase cultivation. With these pellets, Yang Chihua had reached the peak level of early astral reaching realm from early astral reaching realm in just 1 week. Added with his cross-realm battling power, no one below the late astral reaching realm would be able to beat him. Second Master, it is not like you do not know about Kai Hua's power. If he is able to join the Hidden Dragon rank competition again, Xikong Sheng and Yi Chen would not be able to get the first place easily. An inner master from the Fire Spirit Palace said with a loud voice. Yang Chihua tightened his fist and thought to himself, "Xikong Sheng, Yi Chen, wait for me." On the 3rd island next to them, people from the Heartless Martial School had also arrived. Li Daoxian, who was wearing blue robes, had a long sword on his waist. His aura was getting colder and colder. Wherever he looked, the astral reaching realm warriors there would have a strong reaction, as if there was a sword with a cold light pointing right at them, killing their minds. What a powerful sword intent. It should be at least 90%, right? He is indeed a rare martial genius of the Heartless Martial School. Without any surprises, there will be another Sea of Souls realm warrior in the Heartless Martial School in the near future. Yeah, Li Daoxuan's talent is without a doubt. But the legendary Yi Chen seems to be even more powerful. He is the most powerful young sword artist in the past 1,000 years in the whole South Rudra region. Not necessarily. All martial geniuses do not want to lose. Perhaps, Li Daoxian has already reached Yi Chen, or even surpassed him. Everyone was discussing. Li Daoxian sighed. It was all thanks to Yi Chen that his sword intent could increase this fast. In his heart, he hoped that Yi Chen could become even more powerful, so that he would have the motivation to keep chasing after him. Focusing his eyes, Li Daoxian noticed the young girl in the distance. It was Bing Ling from the Ice Extreme Martial School. Bing Ling was also a peak-level early astral reaching realm warrior right now, and there was no doubt that she would not be able to reach that level. The purpose of the competitions of the hidden dragon rank was to motivate people. Under other people's motivations, people would usually be able to make breakthroughs faster. If there were not many martial geniuses in the whole South Rudra region, and they did not have that much talent, then it would mean that the whole South Rudra region was weak. Only competition would provide the motivation. A peaceful environment would always make people relax. And in the era of martial geniuses, relaxation would only mean falling behind. Only by continuously becoming more powerful could one maintain their position. No one would want to leave the stage in the dark. It seems like I will not be lonely anymore. Li Daoxian did not dare to underestimate Bing Ling. Falling behind for a while did not mean falling behind forever. The top 10 of the hidden dragon rank were all martial geniuses of the same level. On the east side of the island, people from the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School are here. Indeed, Mo Yang is already a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior. What? Murong Qingcheng's cultivation is only at the mid-astral-reaching realm? How is this possible? All of the astral-reaching realm warriors on the island could not believe their own eyes. They all gasped, trying their best to open their eyes. Wearing purple robes and a light veil on her face, Murong Qingcheng walked behind the second core master. Mo Yang, who was usually the head disciple, was half a step behind Murong Qingcheng. Vaguely, there was a trace of jealousy and evil light in his eyes. If Yi Chen were here, he would be able to tell that Mo Yang's temperament had changed a little bit. What Xikong Sheng? What Yi Chen? They were all surpassed by Qingcheng in the end. And I, one day, will surpass Qingcheng and make her my woman. Mo Yang sneered in his mind. After the hidden dragon rank competitions had ended, he had worked harder than anyone else, even to the point of torturing himself. What he could not understand was that Murong Qingcheng had reached the early astral reaching realm with a crazy speed, and then from the early astral reaching realm to the mid-astral reaching realm. It had shocked the whole Sky-Flying Devil Martial School, and she had taken away the glory that belonged to him. Somehow, something in his heart had been broken. He swore that he would take back what belonged to him sooner or later, with interest. Qingcheng, how confident are you in beating Yi Chen? The second core master of the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School somehow thought of Yi Chen, so he asked. Murong Qingcheng's voice was light, not even 10%. Qingcheng, you are too humble. You have trained your Sky Demon Great Art to the 13th realm. Why do you have to boost the others' morale and lower your own? Hearing Yi Chen's name, Mo Yang could not help but say, my instinct has always been very sharp. He will not stay where he is, waiting for me to surpass him. Murong Qingcheng did not think that she was more talented than Xikong Sheng and Yang Qihua. Being able to train her Sky Demon Great Art from the 10th realm to the 13th realm was all thanks to the Sky Demon Flower and the mysterious power contained in it. Once the martial art reached a higher realm, the speed of cultivation would be unimaginable. Especially since the mysterious power contained in the Sky Demon Flower could increase cultivation as well, since it was made from the blood of the ancient Demon King. And what kind of cultivation did the ancient Demon King have? They were all life and death realm warriors, so how could they not have the mysterious power to increase their cultivation? The second core master of the Sky Demon Martial School shook his head with a smile. He was just like Mo Yang, thinking that Murong Qingcheng was just being humble. Everyone in the Sky Demon Martial School knew about Murong Qingcheng's personality. She was neither arrogant nor impatient, and would never give up. Sometimes, he felt that Murong Qingcheng was very scary, as she did not have any mental weakness. Sensing the change in the atmosphere, Murong Qingcheng shook her head slightly. She knew that the second master and Mo Yang would not believe her, but she really did not have the confidence to win against Yi Chen. Yi Chen's horrifying power was something she knew better than anyone else. If her mind was already close to perfection, then Yi Chen's mind had reached a level where he would not be affected by anything. Of course, it was only in the astral reaching realm, where the mind of a life and death realm warrior would definitely be more powerful than them. Let's go in. The second master took a step forward, leading everyone into the blood-red swirl. Meanwhile, people from the other islands had also entered. All the rank 6 martial institutions people had been sent out, so they must have included the blood evil beast in their plan. There should not be too much danger. After half a day, a beam of blue light flashed past, landing on the nearest island. There are a lot less people. Yi Chen frowned. In his sight, there were only a few astral-reaching realm warriors on the island, 90% less than before. Taking out his great sword and wearing it on his waist, Yi Chen did not think too much. His body flashed once and disappeared, jumping into the blood-red swirl. Chapter 351. 1,000 miles away from the mass grave, near a transportation door, a human figure appeared out of nowhere. Let's go check out the mass grave first. Flying into the sky, Yi Chen looked around and soon found a reference point. His Zhen Yuan exploded, and his whole body turned into a beam of blue light, disappearing from where he was standing. 1,000 miles took less than 15 minutes to travel. When Yi Chen was less than 10 miles away from the mass grave, he pushed his soul power and spread it out in a fan shape. 1, 2, 5 extreme astral reaching realm warriors. That person's clothes have the symbol of the floating mountain martial school. He should be an extreme astral reaching realm warrior from the floating mountain martial school. Yi Chen's soul power was already very powerful. With the increase of his cultivation, the scanning range of his soul power was getting wider and wider. If he were to scan in one direction, 10 miles would not be a problem at all. Even the slightest movement would be captured by his mind. It seems a bit different. There is a huge amount of power of nothingness gathered on his body. It is the will power, which is different from the sword intent. Frowning, Yi Chen could deeply feel the power of Shentujue's will power. Others might not know that I killed Daoist Jin Huang, but he should know. To the Hanging Mountain, Daoist Jin Huang isn't a big deal. What's important is face. They won't let the murderer live. If word got out, how could they keep their face? Yi Chen did not need to guess. The possibility of him reconciling with the floating mountain martial school was almost zero. On the other side of the road, Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon were flying at a moderate speed. Extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not care about the blood evil stone. Our opponents are people who are below the extreme astral reaching realm. Master Blood Demon said. Bloodsword said coldly, just kill them. Killing is for sure. But, it would be best not to touch the rank 6 martial schools, unless we can kill all the evidence. Master Blood Demon was not arrogant enough to challenge a rank 6 martial school. Not to mention him, even the elders of the 9 Ghost cult would not dare to challenge a rank 6 martial school. Of course, it would only be temporary. 2 hours later, the two arrived at the edge of the mass grave. With a single glance, Master Blood Demon saw White Bone, who was wearing a black robe. That year, the 9 evil cult had 108 great ghost generals, but in the end, only 30% of them survived. Among those who survived were the 3 strongest ghost generals of the 9 evil cult, and Whitebone was one of them. Although Whitebone Ghost General won't let me have the Blood Evil Stone, with him around, it's almost certain that I'll get the Blood Evil Companion Stone. Master Blood Demon revealed a faint look of joy. His gaze subconsciously shifted. Suddenly, he noticed Yi Chen several miles to his left. It's him. Bloodsword also noticed Yi Chen and sneered, seeking his own death. It's not up to him anymore. Whoosh. A blood mark flashed in the air as Bloodsword dashed towards Yi Chen at an extreme speed. Master Blood Demon was a little hesitant. After thinking about it, he followed Bloodsword Artist. Bloodsword Art. Taking out his long sword from its scabbard, Bloodsword threw a sword attack towards Yi Chen from hundreds of meters away. Yi Chen had already noticed Bloodsword and Master Blood Demon. His face was indifferent, and his eyes were cold, as if he was looking at 2 dead men. A dark blue sword light shot out from his scabbard. Chin. The air vibrated as Bloodsword's sword light was shattered. Die. Master Blood Demon held his blood-red stick with both of his hands, performing his major Blood Demon body separating great art. With a sweep of his stick, the air in front of him was sucked out, creating a vacuum world. The misty long sword in my soul should be a sword intent. I just happened to not have anyone to test it on. Holding the dark blue long sword in his right hand, it was a mid-rank thunder attributed great sword. Yi Chen had given it a name, Thunder Lock. The Thunder Lock sword was extremely compatible with the thunder mentality. When he threw out a sword attack, it was no longer a sword, but a thunder light, including Master Blood Demon and Blood Sword Artist. Pop! Thunder flash. Master Blood Demon was blown back with a horrified expression. His tiger palm holding the stick had been shaken to the point of numbness, and streams of blood flowed down. Blood Sword was not any better. He could only see the thunder light in front of him, and an immortal will had shattered his sword intent, affecting his protective Jin Yuan. Pooh! His sword intent shattered, and Blood Sword puked out a blood arrow. Completed sword intent. No, it is a sword spirit embryo. Blood Sword could not believe it. Yi Chen's cultivation base was only at mid-astral reaching realm, so how could his sword intent be this powerful? Moreover, it had reached the stage of condensing sword spirit. It should be known that sword spirit was much harder to condense than martial spirit. Many people might not even be able to successfully condense sword spirit after reaching the Sea of Souls realm. Condensing sword spirit was several times harder than condensing martial spirit. Correspondingly, once one managed to condense sword spirit, even if it was just a sword spirit embryo, its attacking power would reach a whole new level. Damn it! Retreat! Blood Sword was shocked and angry at the same time. It had only been a few days, but Yi Chen's power had already completely surpassed them. Thinking of what Yi Chen had said in the mass grave, an intense hatred rose up in his heart. Anyone who offended him, Blood Sword, would not be able to live in peace. This kid, he had to kill him, and his whole family. Otherwise, he would not be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. Retreat! Master Blood Demon was terrified. Everyone called him a demon, but in his eyes, Yi Chen was even more frightening than a demon. If he did not kill him, he would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Only by escaping to White Bone's vicinity would he be able to gather a few people's power and kill Yi Chen together. Where do you think you are going? Yi Chen aimed at the two's escape route and performed his sky-shattering clouds. Pop! 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 Thunder light exploded in the sky, and the wind and clouds surged. One after another, small mountains cracked open, and the insides were scorched black. Brother Whitebone, save me. Pushing his Jin Yuan to its limit, Master Blood Demon took a deep breath and sent a message to Whitebone, who was miles away. Whitebone turned his head suspiciously. Hey! Someone is chasing after Master Blood Demon. It is a young man. Master Blood Demon, come to me. I will make sure you are safe. Whitebone made a face, not taking Yi Chen seriously at all. After getting the reply, Master Blood Demon felt a bit better. He said to Blood Sword, "This kid will not live for long. Don't worry. You and I will retreat to a safe area first." He did not care about Blood Sword's life or death. If he could join the 9 Ghost Cults camp, then it would be great. Top astral reaching realm warriors were not that common in the South Rudra region. Plus, with Blood Sword's talent, it would not be impossible for him to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior in the future. Alright. Blood Sword could guess what Master Blood Demon was thinking. He hesitated a bit, but eventually agreed. After reaching his level, the biggest hope was to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Being alone, there would be a limit to what he could do. This time, with the appearance of the Blood Evil Beast, if he could get enough Blood Evil stones, it would be very useful for him. He might even be able to form a sword spirit. Green Lotus Sky. Green Lotus accumulation. Putting the Thunder Sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen took out his greenwood sword and waved it in the air. The air seemed to have been frozen, as countless green lotuses appeared out of nowhere, surrounding Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon. Open for me. Boom. The two attacked a certain spot together, opening up a gap. Swoosh. Before they could get out of the range of the sword attacks, a fist-sized green lotus shot over, carrying a powerful sword intent. It was unbelievably fast as it pierced through Blood Sword's shoulder. Blood splashed out from his back as Blood Sword screamed, "You dare to hurt me? From now on, I will kill all of your family members. Do you really think you can leave this place alive? Today, the mass grave will be your burial ground." Green Lotus Chi Transmutation. Sensing the power of the sword intent, Yi Chen did not perform his ace attacks anymore. Instead, he performed the basic sword movement of the Green Lotus sword arts. As he threw out a sword attack, a huge green lotus appeared in front of him. The lotus opened up, shooting out countless blue sword chi like a porcupine shooting out its spikes. Shoo, shoo, shoo. The sword chi was like rain, spreading out in the surreal space, blocking all of the two's escape routes. Ding, dang. Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon waved their weapons, blocking out the dense sword chi. Pooh, pooh. These sword chi were not normal sword chi, but sword chi condensed with a powerful sword intent. Each attack contained an unimaginable power, as well as an indestructible will power. Blood Sword's right arm felt numb for a while, as his right arm had been cut off by a sword chi. The pain made his face pale. Master Blood Demon used his Blood Demon clone to block in front of him, helping him remove some of the sword chi. With their cooperation, there were also some sword wounds on his body, making him bleed profusely. Green Lotus Mountain. The sword rain had just passed when a huge green lotus-imprinted sword light tore open the surreal space, shooting out from above. The horrifying sword intent pierced through the surreal space. What a powerful sword intent! At the critical moment, a 10-meter-long bone claw blocked in front of the sword light. Catcher. The bone claw was full of cracks, shattering in all directions. Metal mentality. There is another special mentality, which is very tenacious. Seeing the bone claw blocking the sword light, Yi Chen frowned slightly. Apart from the metal mentality, there was another mentality on the bone claw, which was as tenacious as bones, containing a life force. A black shadow flashed, and white bone appeared in front of Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon. He looked at Yi Chen with interest. Interesting. You have already condensed a sword soul embryo at such a young age. Unfortunately, your cultivation is a bit lacking. I have a pellet here. Swallow it, and I will spare your life. Shadow explosion. Yi Chen ignored White Bone's appearance, and his body exploded in all directions. Countless shadows rushed out like a flood, drowning the three within. The sword light flashed. Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon's heads flew up, their eyes wide open. The two had just let out a sigh of relief when they died completely. White Bone reached out his huge hand, tearing apart a huge number of shadows. The remaining shadows merged into one, which was hundreds of meters away from White Bone. With a gloomy look in his eyes, White Bone looked at Blood Demon and Master Blood Demon's heads and said, "You have missed your chance to live." Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said indifferently, "Your power is far from enough." Seeking death. White Bone opened his mouth and roared. Both of his hands tore through the air, and dozens of white claw lights shot out. They were both heavy and light at the same time. Taking out the destruction sword, Yi Chen performed the fast mentality, shattering all of the incoming claw lights. Following the sword aura, Yi Chen rushed toward White Bone. He threw out a sword attack that seemed fast but was actually slow. He switched from fast mentality to slow mentality, without any pause in the middle. What? White Bone backed out hurriedly. During the process, his body shone with a white light, and a white bone armor made of Zhenyuan appeared on his body, blocking out Yi Chen's attack. Crack! The broken light shot out, and the speed of the Ghost General's retreat increased drastically. Chapter 352. Fast 4 Swords. After the first sword, the next 3 swords were like lightning, each faster and heavier than the last. By the time of the last sword, Yi Chen's sword aura had accumulated to the limit. Like a river that had opened its floodgates, it poured down and heavily chopped on White Bone's chest. Puff! Even though he had condensed a layer of Zhenyuan armor outside his body, with a mid-grade defensive armor inside, White Bone still spurted out a mouthful of blood. His chest seemed to have been pierced through. Piercing through a small hill, White Bone's face was aghast. Was there such a fast sword art? After being hit by one sword, the next 3 were all solid, leaving him no chance to escape. Who is this guy? He actually suppressed an extreme astral reaching expert to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. He seems quite young. Around 20 years old, wearing blue clothes. If my guess is correct, it should be Yi Chen. Yi Chen? The most powerful genius in 1,000 years of Hidden Dragon list, the one who opened the Hidden Dragon secret realm, Yi Chen. It's only been 2 years. How can his battle power be so powerful? The commotion caused by the battle between the two was huge. All the astral reaching experts within dozens of li were attracted, especially the experts from the 6 great grade 6 sects. It's him. Yang Qihua's expression froze. In his line of sight, Yi Chen, dressed in blue clothes, had his left hand on his scabbard while his right hand was pointing the long sword. His pupils were as gentle as water, emitting a cold light. His body didn't move, but a sky-piercing sword aura locked onto White Bone, who was several li away. Why? Why is he progressing faster than me? Yang Qihua was extremely unconvinced. He thought that Yi Chen would at most reach the peak of early astral reaching realm, and even if he was more powerful than him, it would be limited. However, in these 2 years, not only had his cultivation base reached the peak of early astral reaching realm, his blade intent had also reached 80%, and his 9-twist fire spirit art had also reached the 8th transformation. In the floating mountain, no expert below late astral reaching realm would be his opponent. Who would have thought that not only would Yi Chen's cultivation base surpass his battle power would also be dozens of times more powerful. He could even suppress an extreme astral reaching realm expert. It should be known that there were only about 5 extreme astral reaching realm experts in the South Rudra region, and including those hidden in the dark, there wouldn't be more than 10. Meanwhile, Yang Qihua was still 4 levels away from the extreme astral reaching realm, namely late astral reaching realm, powerful astral reaching realm, peak astral reaching realm, and extreme astral reaching realm. Each level was not that easy to reach. Therefore, Yang Qihua was unconvinced. How could Yi Chen become an extreme astral reaching realm expert in one fell swoop? He must have had a great adventure. Unable to find a reason to convince himself, Yang Qihua subconsciously thought that Yi Chen had succeeded because of a great adventure. Indeed. No wonder Sikong Sheng did not stay in the South Rudra region any longer. He waited until he became the king of the young generation before leaving. It was because he knew that he could not win against Yi Chen. Only by making a breakthrough in another region would he come back and challenge Yi Chen. The king of the young generation in the South Rudra region would not change for the next 5 years. Li Daoxian tightened his left hand on the sword hilt. Li Daoxian let out a breath, and the battle intent on his body dissipated. Only his fighting spirit was burning brighter and brighter. Sai, the second core elder of the Heartless Martial School, sighed. Although he was the core elder of the Heartless Martial School, he had to admit that no one in the young generation could compete with Yi Chen. This kind of situation had not happened for hundreds of years. So many top geniuses were suppressed by an even more powerful genius, losing their splendor. Sensing Li Daoxuan's fighting spirit, he smiled. Perhaps, this was also a good thing. In the young generation that had grown up with Xianhu, the lowest achievement was the Sea of Soul realm, while the highest had also entered the life and death realm. There was an insurmountable mountain, which was a lifelong challenge for the young generation. The timid ones did not even have the qualifications to look up to the mountain. Only the brave ones could surpass themselves. Her whole body was shrouded in cold qi. Bingling's skin was as white as snow, and her black pupils were like 10,000 years old ice. There was no change in her expression, as if Yi Chen's power was already within her expectations. Therefore, she was not surprised, nor was she shaken. Her heart was crystal clear. Continue to be powerful. I will chase after you. Standing on the bloody mountain peak, Bingling's temperament seemed exceptionally cold. Pa. The ground cracked, and Mo Yang's whole body froze. He unconsciously rubbed the hard rock, which was corroded into powder by Jin Yuan. Mo Yang, the second core elder of the sky-flying demon sect, reminded him. Mo Yang woke up with a start. Second elder. The second elder said, a momentary lead does not mean a lifetime lead. Maintain your own heart. I know. Mo Yang said so, but he felt extremely sullen inwardly. His originally natural standing posture suddenly tensed up, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. How could the second elder not hear the insincerity in Mo Yang's words? He smiled bitterly and shifted his gaze to Murong Qingcheng. Before entering the blood demon battlefield, she said that she had no 10% chance. Could it be that she had met Yi Chen before? After all, Who would have thought that Yi Chen could contend against extreme astral reaching experts? It should be known that Murong Qingqing's battle strength was equivalent to a powerful astral reaching expert, and was close to peak astral reaching experts. Not even 10% chance. In the end, Murong Qingqing had underestimated Yi Chen. In fact, she had guessed that Yi Chen's battle strength was equal to hers, and her chances of victory were not more than 10%. This was where Yi Chen's strength lay. Not to mention that their battle strength was equal, even in a disadvantageous situation, he had the power to reverse the situation. Not to mention that his battle strength had reached the limits of astral reaching realm. Rumble. The mountain peak exploded, and White Bone rushed out. "I'll make you pay the price." The black robe on White Bone's body was tattered, and a surging white aura soared into the horizon, tearing apart the bloody clouds. The air around the destruction sword fiercely twisted, and the cold sword light flickered. Yi Chen said indifferently, "Do you think there's any meaning in saying these words now?" As a sword artist, Yi Chen had never lacked confidence. If he couldn't defeat his opponent at the same level, it would be his failure. What was the point of defeating the weak with the strong? The 4 sword strikes just now were nothing profound. They were merely 4 quick sword strikes linked together. One less sword strike would not reach its peak, and one more would be superfluous, turning the sword aura from strong to weak. White Bone cage. With a cold voice, White Bone rapidly formed seals with both hands. Following the changes of the seals, the surrounding yuan qi of the heaven and earth rapidly fluctuated. Incorporeal ripples radiated in all directions, collapsing the nearby bloody mountains and spreading cracks everywhere. Clang. In the void, countless white bones formed a huge white bone cage. Each bone was as thick as a person's waist, circulating with a cold white light. At the same time, 2 mentalities pervaded the air. One was the mentality of metal, and the other was an extremely tenacious mentality. This mentality was White Bone's unique bone mentality. Human bones were not inanimate objects, and had the unique ability to slowly strengthen. Therefore, once the white bone cage was formed, it would only become more and more tenacious, becoming indestructible. Thus, Yi Chen was trapped within. Chapter 353. It seems to be the remnant of the 9 ghost cult, White Bone Ghost General. How did he come to the Blood Demon battlefield? The Blood Demon battlefield is a chaotic place, and it is also at the border of the South Rudra region. White Bone Ghost General daring to appear here in broad daylight is understandable. It would have been fine if White Bone Ghost General didn't use his ace attacks, but once he did, that unique bone mentality and white bone cage would be too eye-catching. It would be hard not to know his identity. Some of the knowledgeable people recognized White Bone Ghost General at a glance, and the people beside them also understood after being reminded. Should we surround and kill him? After killing the White Bone Ghost General, you will be able to obtain a huge reward from the 6 great sects, including a powerful martial art. Are you crazy? Don't you see that the other 4 extreme astral reaching realm warriors haven't made a move yet? Without them, White Bone Ghost General could easily escape. If he escapes, don't even think about having a good life in the future. The 6 great sects won't protect your family. You're right. Moreover, for extreme astral reaching realm warriors, the blood evil stones are more important. Wait until all the blood evil beasts are killed, then they will make a move. I don't want to be the first one. Some of the people who were tempted immediately dispelled their impulsive thoughts, feeling a lingering fear. So, it is White Bone Ghost General. Shen Tujue squinted his eyes. Back then, White Bone Ghost General had killed a lot of people from the floating mountain martial school. Logically speaking, he should have made a move without hesitation. However, the blood evil beasts only appeared once in dozens of years. After this, he didn't know when he would be able to obtain enough blood evil stones. Therefore, compared to the blood evil stones, killing White Bone Ghost General could be put aside for a while. Then, his gaze landed on Yi Chen and sneered. This kid was indeed a threat. He was only 20 years old, but he was already an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. If he was allowed to continue growing, no one in the South Rudra region would be able to stop him. Humph, I'll let you live a little longer. When I make my move, It will be the day of your death. Shen Tujue tightened his fist and threw out an attack. That powerful fist power contained an indestructible martial will, blowing apart the blood-evil beast in front of him. Unlike Shen Tujue, the Heartless Martial School's headmaster, Pei Yudao, had his eyes fixed on Yi Chen the whole time. Strange. His sword intent is obviously not complete, but it has the trend of condensing a sword spirit. No, this sword intent is similar to the natural Chasm Gorge's sword intent, containing the same profound of immortality. Could this be the biggest reason for him to condense his martial spirit earlier? Pei Yudao was very confused. Without the complete sword intent, it should be impossible to condense a sword spirit, even if it was just the embryonic form of a sword spirit. However, Yi Chen had done it. The sword spirit itself is not that different, they are both the embodiment of the sword will. Only the Battle King 500 years ago had created a completely different kind of sword spirit, which was immortal and indestructible. With one sword strike, the powerful sword intent had existed in the gorge for 500 years, making him one of the top 3 sword artists in the history of the True Spirit continent. The first 2 were sword artists from the ancient era, while the other was the #1 sword artist in the medieval era. To be able to be on the same level as them, it was enough to prove the Battle King's achievement in the sword art. Unfortunately, after that battle 500 years ago, no one knows where the Battle King had gone, or whether he was dead or alive. Pei Yudao looked at Yi Chen with a bright light in his eyes. Crack, crack. The white bone cage was formed at an extremely fast speed. Once it was formed, it started to shrink. The sound of bones squeezing against each other could be heard continuously, which was extremely ear-piercing. Ting! The sword light shot out, and a waist-thick white bone appeared with a deep sword mark. Bone chips flew everywhere. So hard. Yi Chen was shocked. Although that sword attack just now was just a normal sword attack, under the infusion of sword intent, even a peak astral reaching expert would be heavily wounded. But a white bone condensed from Jin Yuan had blocked it. How could he not be shocked? White Bone Ghost General laughed. Give up struggling. If your cultivation base were a bit higher, you might be able to break through the white bone cage. Unfortunately, you're only a mid-astral reaching expert. Relying on the quality of Jin Yuan, you have such battle power. However, the gap between realms isn't that easy to make up for. Peak late astral reaching experts' Jin Yuan output far exceeds mid-astral reaching experts. The difference in realms was not only the difference in the quality and quantity of Jin Yuan, but also in many details. For example, the output of Jin Yuan. If a late astral reaching expert could output 10 units of Jin Yuan in a split second, then a mid-astral reaching expert could output 8 to 9 units at most. White Bone Ghost General's cultivation base had long since reached the peak late astral reaching realm. Under his all-out Jin Yuan output, he could create a huge white bone cage. If an ordinary mid-astral reaching expert or even late astral reaching expert were to be trapped inside, they wouldn't even be able to come out within 2 to 4 hours, unless White Bone stopped his Jin Yuan output. Not necessarily. Bang! One of the white bones was covered in cracks, seeming to be on the verge of collapse. What? White Bone Ghost General almost bit the tip of his tongue. The speed at which his 2 hands formed seals increased, and the abundant Jin Yuan passed through the seals, adding to the white bone cage in a strange way. The white bone cage shrunk smaller and smaller, eventually maintaining a width of 5 meters. Putting the destruction sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen held the greenwood sword in his hand. The greenwood sword was compatible with the green lotus sword arts, complementing each other. As the sword slashed out, a green radiance pervaded the air, and a huge green lotus was imprinted on the cold sword light. With a thunderous momentum, it heavily slashed at a certain point on the white bone cage. Catcher. This point seemed to be the weak point of the white bone cage. Finger-thick cracks rapidly spread out, and the place where the force was applied even bulged outwards. You can't break through the white bone cage. Die. White Bone Ghost General's 10 fingers cracked open, and blood spurted out. The speed of Jin Yuan output suddenly doubled, and in about 3 breaths' time, his 10 fingers pressed together, letting out a small explosive sound as he roared, white bone-piercing spike. Puff 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 puff, Several meters long bone spikes appeared in the white bone cage. Some were long, some were short, some were thick, and some were thin. Some were straight like spears, some were curved like blades, some had forks at the front, and some even produced violent explosions, sending tiny bone spikes flying in all directions. Green Lotus Chi transformation. Explode. Being in the middle of the white bone cage, no matter how fast Yi Chen's sword speed was, it would be impossible for him to block out all the attacks coming from all directions. He was not in a hurry at all. The greenwood sword circled around his body, and countless green lotuses appeared out of nowhere. The lotuses expanded, and countless sword chi blossomed, welcoming the attacks coming from all directions. If the storm was extremely noisy, then the sound of Yi Chen blocking out the bone spikes was dozens of times louder than the storm. The concentrated sound of the spikes spread out, and if it were a normal person, even just hearing the sound would make their heart speed up, and they would die on the spot. Green Lotus accumulation. Shrinking his soul power into a 5-meter radius, Yi Chen quickly found a huge flaw while blocking out the bone spikes. This flaw existed at the same time as the white bone cage's attack, and was the side effect of the Jin Yuan change. Of course, if the white bone ghost general did not attack Yi Chen, within 3 or 4 sword attacks, Yi Chen would still be able to break out of the cage. Cutting down the incoming bone spikes, Yi Chen stabbed his sword into the white bone. A dot of blue light lit up on the tip of the sword, and a green lotus rapidly expanded from that dot. It forcibly broke the white bone cage and exploded, shooting out towards the white bone ghost general who was hundreds of meters away. Chin. The shockwave spread out, and the white bone ghost general's seal formation was forcibly broken. The white bone cage shattered by itself, turning into Jin Yuan and normal natural Yuan Qi, disappearing into the surreal space. After breaking out of the cage, Yi Chen did not even think before performing the 8th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts, the Green Lotus sprouting, which was also his most powerful sword movement. The sword light crisscrossed, incomparably powerful. The white bone ghost general had the thought of retreating. Yi Chen's strength was beyond his imagination. Today, he finally understood the terror of the #1 genius of South Rudra region. If he didn't retreat, he would very likely be injured if the battle dragged on. In the eyes of numerous astral reaching experts, he would definitely be the target to be rewarded. He had no choice but to consider it. Using killing moves one after another, the white bone ghost general counteracted the sword light. Not good. The sword light was shattered and turned into an even more powerful sword light. Caught off guard, the white bone armor on white bone's body exploded. The mid-rank defensive great armor neutralized a part of the power, and the rest of the power poured into his body. Puff. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, the white bone ghost general had at least 4 or 5 of his ribs broken, and one of them had pierced into his internal organs. Even the slightest movement would cause a heart-wrenching pain. Towering Green Lotus. The Green Lotus germination was just a part of the process. The second half of the Green Lotus sky saw was the essence of the 8th style. The sword beam shone brightly like a towering tree, devouring white bone. It rushed into the mountain a mile away and quickly took root. From afar, the gigantic sword beam looked like a towering tree, and white bone was at the roots of the tree, looking extremely pathetic. Blood spurted out from his 7 orifices as he shattered the sword light. Just as he was about to rush out of the mountain, a blood light suddenly flickered, and a slender blood shadow pierced through the ghost general's head. By the time the slender blood shadow left, the ghost general had already turned into a dried corpse, without any signs of life. The ghost general of a generation was ultimately killed by the blood evil beast. It could not be denied that it was an irony. Huff. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen relaxed his taut nerves. The white bone ghost general was different from the blood demon. He was a veteran extreme astral reaching expert. Even if his battle power had greatly increased and he didn't fear any extreme astral reaching expert, killing the white bone ghost general would still be a very difficult task. After killing the white bone ghost general, the color of the blood evil beast became increasingly rich. It unexpectedly swept towards Yi Chen, its wriggling body streaking through the air without a single air-piercing sound. Die. At this moment, Yi Chen didn't fear the blood evil beast at all. Without retreating or dodging, he quickly slashed out with his sword. Puff! The sword light cleaved open the blood evil beast's body. However, the blood evil beast's recovery power was even higher than the blood demon's, and it soon recovered to its original state. Yi Chen was already mentally prepared. The seventh style of the Green Lotus sword art, Green Lotus Sky, froze the blood evil beast's body. Countless green lotuses turned into sword chi, cutting the blood evil beast into nothingness. Pater. A blood-red stone fell off. Yi Chen could see the extraordinariness of the stone, so he tried to absorb it. Little bastard, you don't have the qualifications to obtain the blood evil stone. Leave it to me, Shen Tujue. A huge hand burning with Jin Yuan pierced through the air, grabbing the blood evil stone before retreating. It was precisely Shen Tujue who had seized the opportunity. Chapter 354. Let go. How could Yi Chen allow Shen Tujue to snatch his things? Seeing that the Jin Yuan giant hand was about to return to its starting point, Yi Chen didn't have time to think. His left index finger pointed in the air, and a deep azure sword chi shot out. It was precisely the increasingly powerful Green Lotus sword chi. Peng! The Green Lotus sword chi cut on the Jin Yuan giant hand one after another, bursting forth with Jin Yuan sparks. The intense shockwave collapsed the nearby mountains. Come back! The Jin Yuan giant hand shattered, and the infant fist-sized blood evil stone turned into a bloodline, falling in Yi Chen's hand. What a fierce evil chi! As soon as the blood evil stone entered his hand, a strand of evil chi drilled into Yi Chen's mind, attacking him again and again. Fortunately, Yi Chen's sword intent was extraordinary, easily guarding his mind and soul. No matter how the evil chi attacked, he remained unmoved. The surrounding astral reaching experts were stupefied. What kind of person was Shen Tujue? He was the core elder of Floating Mountain, one of the extreme astral reaching experts of South Rudra region. With a single word, his subordinates could annihilate a grade 7 sect. Under Sea of Soul Realm, there was almost no one and no power in South Rudra region that could threaten him. And now, Yi Chen actually dared to resist Shen Tujue. It should be known that Shen Tujue was different from Whitebone Ghost General. The latter was a loner, while the former was peak in both strength and power. The spirit of South Rudra region's #1 genius is indeed extraordinary. With such spirit, as long as he doesn't die, he will certainly have great accomplishments in the future. At this moment, the powerful astral reaching experts of Blood Demon Battlefield recognized Yi Chen for the first time, and were impressed by his bearing and courage. Shen Tujue's face alternated between green and red as he said in a low voice, "Little bastard, don't think that you can escape with your life just because you have the strength of an extreme astral reaching expert. I'll let you know right now what it means to be a mantis trying to stop a chariot." As his voice faded, Shen Tujue's body shook, causing the void to sway as he threw a punch at Yi Chen. Rumble. This punch contained the unparalleled heavy concept of earth. Under the reinforcement of Yi Chen's martial will, the air exploded layer by layer and extended rapidly toward Yi Chen. As he floated in midair, Yi Chen wasn't afraid in the slightest. With a flick of his wrist, sword lights rose explosively, and one could faintly see that the surface of every sword light of various sizes was branded with a lifelike azure lotus. Dong! The earth split apart. Yi Chen and Shen Tujue both slid back a dozen steps, the tyrannical shock waves constantly pressuring their bodies. What a strong will! It's like a great river. This was the first time Yi Chen had felt the power of will from a martial artist. It was different from the extremely condensed sword intent. Although the martial artist's will was integrated into one, it had a huge range, and it had the feeling of suppressing others with its power. Because of this, although Yi Chen's willpower was inferior to Shen Tujue's, he was able to contend against his opponent in terms of offense. En. Shen Tujue's eyebrows twitched. 5 years ago, he had obtained a blood evil stone, and the total amount of his martial will far surpassed other martial artists of the same level. Although his martial will wasn't as concentrated as his sword will, no matter what, his cultivation and realm surpassed Yi Chen's. Interesting. If you can receive my next attack, I'll let you die a quick death. I'll only kill half of the people related to you. Shuntuju fiercely raised his chi and pushed his hands upwards. A vast and terrifying power rose up, causing the surrounding area to tremble and the air to distort. Seeing Shuntuju's strange state, the Fire Spirit Hall's Grand Elder Kai Jinyang was somewhat puzzled. It seemed that his opponent was going to use that strange martial art. However, was Yi Chen worth it? In Kai Jinyang's view, besides his sword intent and sword moves, Yi Chen didn't have any other strong points. Dragon Elephant Strength Technique. As Shuntuju's voice resounded, waves of majestic dragon roars and elephant trumpeting sounds that ordinary people couldn't hear came from his body. Floating in the air, Shuntuju's aura rose endlessly, as if he was the center of this area, the king of this area. Catcher. Stretching out his right hand, Shuntuju exerted strength in his arm, uprooting a nearby mountain that was thousands of meters tall, and throwing it towards Yi Chen. The scene of a mountain flying at several times the speed of sound was too terrifying. In the air, thunder and lightning intersected and dark clouds covered the sky, as if the end of the world had arrived. All sound was isolated outside, nothing could be heard, nothing could be felt, and even time seemed to have stopped. In the distance, Mo Yang sneered. As an elder of the Sky-Flying Demon Martial School, he had some understanding of the top martial arts of all the Rank 6 martial schools. The martial art that Shuntuju had used was not unique to the Floating Mountain Martial School, but a powerful supplementary martial art that he had obtained by chance. It was said that once this martial art was used, the power would increase by 10 times, and it would have the power of Dragon Elephant. Tearing mountains and splitting the earth would be a piece of cake. 5 years ago, Shuntuju was an extreme astral reaching expert second only to Pei Yudao. Now that his power has increased by a lot, he has even surpassed Pei Yudao. Yi Chen will definitely not be able to block him. Mo Yang's eyes were burning with passion, looking forward to the scene of Yi Chen being crushed into a bloody pulp. Dragon Elephant Strength Technique? For some reason, Yi Chen thought of the unknown fist art that he had bought in the Martial City Trading Palace. The first 2 words of that fist art were also Dragon Elephant. The flying mountain was too big, covering more than 10 li. Even if Yi Chen's speed was faster, he wouldn't be able to avoid it, and would instead be at a disadvantage. Therefore, facing such a huge monster, Yi Chen could only do one thing, and that was to face it with all his strength. Shu. Chin. Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, the thunder sword came out of its scabbard. The green lotus Zhen Yuan inside Yi Chen's body was pushed to the limit, and the strength that he normally didn't use was also brought out, gathering on his right arm. With a creaking sound, Yi Chen's right arm swelled up. The powerful muscles pushed up his clothes, filling it with a layer of jade color. Sky-shattering clouds. Exerting strength from his waist, the power traveled along his spine to his right arm. Yi Chen held the sword with both hands, and the sword carried the might of thunder as it heavily chopped towards the mountain. Crack. The sword light was like a thunderbolt, hitting the weakest part of the mountain. No sound came out, because it had already been annihilated. In the sky, one after another, soundless thunder rumbled down like rain. In the next second, the sky was filled with broken rocks like a fountain, spraying towards the sky. Each piece contained an astonishing amount of electricity. Blocked it. Mo Yang's gloating expression stiffened. Shuntuju's expression froze, then he roared, "Let's see how you block it this time." Rumble. 2 mountains were uprooted, smashing towards Yi Chen from both sides. Chop. Green lotus seizing light. The greenwood sword was unsheathed, and Yi Chen chopped out with the thunder sword in his right hand, while his right hand raised the greenwood sword to block. A several-meter-wide green lotus appeared in the air, looking vivid and lifelike. A sharp green chi spread out, forming a tough defensive area. Buzz. The mountain on the right shattered, while the mountain on the left smashed into the green lotus. From afar, Yi Chen's figure could not be seen at all. After all, compared to the 1,000-meter-tall, several-meter-wide mountain, the several-meter-wide green lotus and the 2-meter-tall Yi Chen looked very small. Without considering the result, it could be described as a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The greenwood sword trembled, and the momentum of the mountain was reduced, bouncing back in the opposite direction. After smashing the flying mountain into pieces with a palm, Shuntuju was just about to make his move. Suddenly, a slender blood shadow scuttled out from a relatively larger boulder inside the mountain. This blood shadow's body was like a snake, but its front end began to have the shape of a beast. There were even 2 tiny front limbs growing out of its body. Semi-beast blood evil beast. Among the blood evil beasts, the beast blood evil beasts were the most powerful, and the demi-beast blood evil beasts were second. Normal blood evil beasts had long bodies. In terms of battling power, any extreme astral reaching realm warrior could beat it. Shoo! The demi-beast blood evil beast shot out, trying to devour Shuntuju. Not good. Shuntuju was very clear about the power of the demi-beast blood evil beast, which was powerful enough to compete with the most powerful extreme astral reaching realm warriors. As for the beast blood evil beasts, no one under the Sea of Souls realm could rival them. They were rather nature-defying existences, and could not be easily seen. Otherwise, even 5 or 6 extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not be its opponent. Dragon Elephant Shield. With a wave of his hands, the air in front of Shuntuju's chest twisted. A mighty dragon roar and elephant cry soared into the sky, blocking out the demi-beast blood evil beast's attack. Boom! After his defense was shattered, Shuntuju's face turned pale as he was blown back. It is a demi-beast blood evil beast. The white-robed blade artist's breathing accelerated. Gold Rock chuckled. The blood evil stone inside the demi-beast blood evil beast is 3 to 4 times more effective than normal stones. As long as I can get one, condensing the blade soul would not be a problem at all. I might even be able to condense the blade soul in one go. Then, reaching the Sea of Souls realm in the future would not be that hard anymore. The blood evil stone was too important for astral reaching realm warriors. Without enough blood evil stone to refine their willpower, they would have to rely on their own efforts. Warriors who were not that talented would never be able to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Therefore, this blood evil stone was something that the white-robed blade artist had to obtain. Silent Sword. Pei Yudao was the first to attack. He immediately used the ace attack of the emotionless sword arts. The sword light was extremely condensed, and it was completely silent. Shoo! A sword mark appeared on the demi-beast blood evil beast's forehead. Such a powerful defense. Frowning, Pei Yudao made up his mind and burned his Jin Yuan to its limit. His body flashed as he charged toward the demi-beast blood evil beast. Pei Yudao, this blood evil beast does not belong to you alone. The other 3 extreme astral reaching realm warriors also attacked. This blood red stone is not a simple item. It has the effect of training the willpower. And, this blood evil beast is several times more powerful than normal ones. The blood red stone inside its body should be even more effective. I cannot let it go. Willpower and sword intent were 2 different concepts. A powerful will did not mean a powerful sword intent. But, a powerful will meant that the potential of the sword intent would be correspondingly powerful, and the speed of training would be a lot faster. Moreover, Yi Chen had some understanding of Shuntuju's willpower. It should be pure willpower, and there would not be many changes. Once the blood red stone landed in their hands, it could easily increase their willpower, unlike the sword intent, which had a transformation process. Therefore, the blood red stone could increase the power of Shuntuju and the others even faster. It would be a bit difficult for sword artists to use it. Understanding the key, Yi Chen started to calculate, planning to snatch the food from the tiger's mouth. Chapter 355. Yi Chen did not rush up immediately. He was very clear that the beast was not that easy to deal with. If he went up now, it would be useless. This was going to be a long battle. Extinguishing his burning Jin Yuan, Yi Chen swallowed a meridian repairing pill. Then, he coldly watched the fierce battle between the beast and the 2. Damn it! A few miles away, Shuntuju spat out a mouthful of blood. The full power attack from the beast had left him with a light injury. Fortunately, this injury was nothing. What made him angry was that because of the appearance of the beast, he was faced with 2 choices: to kill Yi Chen, or to snatch the blood evil stone from the beast. It had to be known that this blood evil stone was equivalent to 3 or 4 ordinary blood evil stones. Moreover, Its evil chi was much purer and easier to use. If he missed this opportunity, it would be hard to get another one in the future. Count yourself lucky. After hesitating for a while, Shen Tujue turned around and pounced at the beast. Compared to killing Yi Chen, fighting for the blood evil stone was more attractive. Get lost. The vigorous dragon form technique was pushed to its peak. Every move of Shen Tujue's contained the power of the dragon and elephant. He punched out, causing the void to tremble. The white-robed bladesman, who was fighting with the blood evil beast, was shaken to the side, allowing him to snatch an excellent position. The white-robed blade artist's face turned gloomy. In terms of strength, although he was not as strong as Shen Tujue, who had condensed the embryonic form of his martial spirit, the gap was very small. If he could not beat his opponent, then Shen Tujue would not be able to do anything to him. What he was afraid of was Shen Tujue's identity as the core elder of Floating Mountain. One blade, 7 flashes. With a domineering look in his eyes, the white-robed blade artist waved his blade towards the beast and Shen Tujue. 7 blade lights flashed continuously, dazzling the eyes of the surrounding people. You're courting death. The tyrannical marshal will not only amplified Shen Tujue's attack, it also amplified his defense. Moreover, the white-robed bladesman still had some misgivings in his heart, and did not focus all of his attacks on Shen Tujue's body. He only brushed past Shen Tujue slightly. Therefore, apart from the distortion of his protective Jin Yuan, Shen Tujue did not receive any injuries. Even so, Shen Tujue still flew into a rage, and listed the white-robed bladesman as a must-kill target. The white-robed bladesman said coldly, "Ever since I, Wang Pao, comprehended saber intent, I have never feared anyone. Shen Tujue, if you want to fight, I will accompany you." Wang Pao, just you wait. Shen Tujue issued a warning. The two of them spoke ruthlessly, but in fact, they did not intend to fight immediately. If they could get the blood evil stone from the half-beast blood evil beast, it would be more meaningful than killing 100 people. Noticing this scene, Yi Chen revealed a pensive expression. It seemed like this Shen Tujue had been in a high position for a long time, and did not put anyone outside of the rank 6 martial schools in his eyes. No matter what he did, he would not allow others to resist. Unfortunately, as an extreme astral reaching blade artist, how could he not have his own dignity? The enemy of an enemy was a friend. Shoo. Right at this moment, Pei Yudao used his most powerful ace. The long sword in his hand trembled, and a cold star suddenly appeared, shooting towards the center of the half-beast blood evil beast's body, where the blood evil stone was located. With a puff sound, the cold star pierced through the half-beast's body. However, the opponent's movements were extremely fast. With a slight twist of its body, the cold star merely brushed past the blood evil stone. Looking at it with the naked eye, one could clearly see the blood evil stone on the other side of the hole. Pei Yudao sighed inwardly. The cold star sword art was the 10th movement of the emotionless sword art. The sword chi condensed into a single point, unstoppable and unstoppable. Its only weakness was that the point of attack was too small, and if one missed, it would not cause too much damage. Of course, if he could train the cold star sword art to the highest level, then the only weakness would disappear, and he would be able to create an explosion within his opponent's body. However, the emotionless sword art only had 11 movements in total, and each one was harder to train than the previous one. The 10th movement, the emotionless sword art, was even more powerful than the 8th movement of a normal top-rank Earthrealm sword art. With his talent in sword arts, there was no way for him to comprehend the cold star sword art all of a sudden. After all, he had only been given the emotionless sword art when he became a core master, and had not been training since he was young. Taking chestnuts out of the fire, on the other side, the core master of the Fire Spirit Palace, Gold Rock, saw that Pei Yudao had almost gotten the blood evil stone. He could not keep his cool anymore. He twirled the long blade in his hand, and the blade chi rotated, stabbing towards the location of the blood evil stone inside the beast's body. Dragon Elephant attack. The blade chi was shattered. It was Shen Tujue who had attacked. His right hand was empty, and the fist power he had thrown out was extremely powerful. The beast's body had been shattered, and the blood evil stone could be vaguely seen. Gold Rock was filled with hatred in his heart. However, If it were him, he would have done the same thing. Compared to a pure blood evil stone, why would he care about feelings? Were feelings more important than power? Therefore, he remained calm and collected, and continued to attack the beast. Shun Tujue was about to attack again, and fight for the possession of the blood evil stone. However, the white-robed blade artist suddenly threw out 7 blade attacks at the same spot, blasting the blood evil stone out. It's mine, mine. Who dares to fight with me? The 4 of them had all gone crazy. Before, they were still holding back, but now, they were attacking anyone they saw. The situation was extremely chaotic. Here's my chance. Yi Chen's eyes brightened. The Zhen Yuan in his body operated according to the separating shadow-flying ART's circulation method. In the next second, his body exploded, and layers of shadows poured down like a flood, drowning the beast and the other 3. Shoo! Within the countless shadows, Yi Chen's real body approached the blood evil stone at a fast speed. Brat, you are looking for death. Gold Rock was also nearby. With bloodshot eyes, he performed the flash kill golden flame cut. Compared to Yang Qihua's, Gold Rock's flash kill golden flame cut was more than 10 times more powerful, and its speed had also increased by several folds. I have to take this blade attack. As thoughts flashed through his mind, Yi Chen barely lifted up his left index finger and pointed it at the blade light. Shoo! His fingertip was cut open, causing strands of blood to float in the air. However, Yi Chen's expression didn't change at all. Under his intentional control, the thunder sword twisted into an arc, causing the sword chi to circle around and bounce back the blood evil stone. Rumble. A large number of shadows were cleared out as Shun Tujue rushed over. Seeing Yi Chen's hand, he was so angry that his 3 corpses flew into a rage. Without a second thought, he punched out. Holding the blood evil stone tightly in his left hand, Yi Chen forcibly took on Shun Tujue's full power attack. Puff! Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Yi Chen's figure shot out, leaving the battle circle. Where do you think you're going? Pei Yudao and the white-robed blade artist cleared out the remaining shadows and chased after Shun Tujue and Gold Rock. The situation had turned into a 4-on-1 situation. As for the half-beast blood evil beast, after losing the blood evil stone, its vitality was greatly injured, and it could no longer pose any threat. Run. Without any other thoughts, the only thing Yi Chen could do was run. With 4 extreme astral reaching experts joining hands, no one could stop them. Using the separating shadow flying art to its limit, Yi Chen's body seemed like a wisp of black smoke. With a few flickers, he had already fled 7 to 8 li away. Brat, leave the blood evil stone, and I can save your life. Pei Yudao's voice was heard. Yi Chen replied, treasures belong to the fated. No one can blame anyone else. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Pei Yudao's long sword trembled as he performed an extremely frightening Cold Star sword. The speed of the Cold Star sword was far faster than Yi Chen's. It was as if the stars in the sky had flashed once. A finger-sized hole appeared on Yi Chen's protective Zhen Yuan, piercing through his abdomen. So powerful. Yi Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. His left hand continuously pointed, stopping the bleeding wound. 1 blade 7 flashes. The white-robed blade artist's eyes flickered with hesitation, but he resolutely waved his long blade. Dodging 5 blade lights, the remaining 2 landed on Yi Chen's back. Fortunately, Yi Chen was wearing a mid-rank defensive armor, so the blade light couldn't break through it and hit Yi Chen's body. However, the power contained in the blade light made him puke out 3 mouthfuls of blood, which was not a light injury. Brat, your strength is not bad. This blood evil stone is yours. I, Wang Pao, will not chase you anymore. Putting his long blade back into its scabbard, the white-robed blade artist stopped chasing. Many thanks. Yi Chen didn't blame him for injuring him. If it were him, he would have done the same. Shun Tujue's eyes narrowed, remembering the white-robed blade artist in his heart. His left hand shot out a dragon-shaped shockwave, while his right hand raised into the air and heavily smashed down. An elephant condensed from Zhen Yuan fell from the sky, suppressing the flying Yi Chen. Shadow explosion. In this critical moment, Yi Chen once again performed the ultimate skill of the separating shadow movement art. His human figure flickered, exploding out fiercely. His real body barely dodged the elephant condensed from Zhen Yuan. However, the dragon-shaped shockwave was even more frightening than the elephant condensed from Zhen Yuan. It opened its mouth, and all the shadows were destroyed, leaving only Yi Chen's real body. Instant kill fire dragon chop. Gold Rock grasped the opportunity, waving out a dragon-shaped blade light. The blade light flashed, wrapping around Yi Chen, and ruthlessly brushed past him. "Haha, brat, let's see where you can run to." Facing the repeated attacks, Yi Chen's speed had dropped by a lot. Gradually, the other three caught up. Shen Tujue said while attacking. "Yi Chen, it's not easy for you to grow to where you are today. Give me the Blood Evil Stone, and I can protect your life. Shen Tujue shouldn't even think about killing you." Pei Yudao transmitted his Zhen Yuan to Yi Chen. In his opinion, Yi Chen, who was at the end of his rope, would not refuse his good intentions. Yi Chen's expression was firm. "I'm sorry. If I can't even grasp the opportunity when it falls into my hands, how can I talk about growth?" Hearing this, Pei Yudao sighed, and killing intent condensed in his eyes. Peng. As soon as he finished speaking, blood flowed out of Yi Chen's 7 orifices. It was Shen Tujue who had launched an attack on him. The incomparably berserk power penetrated through the mid-grade armor, causing him serious internal injuries. "This won't do. If this goes on, I'll be beaten to death. Looks like I have no choice but to use that move. I must succeed." Yi Chen knew his situation better than anyone else. Without 2 or 3 moves, he would not even have the strength to fight back. Therefore, he had to break away from the three's pursuit in the shortest time possible. The only way for him to break away from the pursuit was his newly created move. This move was still not proficient, and had a high failure rate. Otherwise, he would have used it long ago, instead of waiting until now. Bang! Under Yi Chen's control, his protective Zhen Yuan collapsed with a loud bang, turning into specks of light that floated around him. The specks of light combined together, forming layers of sword light that surrounded him. Quick! Raising the index and middle fingers of his right hand, Yi Chen controlled the sword light and pointed it forward. Chapter 356. Hum, hum, hum. Waves of sword cries resounded as the sword light wrapped around Yi Chen and shot out. It was as if an aurora had pierced through heaven and earth, traveling several li in an instant. Success! Yi Chen was overjoyed. His consciousness sunk into his body, and he immediately felt the green lotus Zhen Yuan turn into Zhen Yuan threads, continuously fusing into the sword light and propelling his body forward. At this moment, his speed doubled. What? The three behind him were shocked. Before, their speed was still above Yi Chen's, and they were about to catch up. But, they did not expect that Yi Chen had performed some kind of secret art, and his speed had skyrocketed, leaving them 2 miles behind in the blink of an eye. "Damn it, we can't let this kid get away," Shen Tujue roared. The martial will that had condensed into the embryonic form of his martial spirit was added to his Zhen Yuan, and his flying speed also increased drastically. Although he could not catch up to Yi Chen immediately, he did not think that Yi Chen would be able to persist. As long as he did not fall too far behind, he would eventually catch up. Pei Yudao and Gold Rock had also cultivated some secret techniques to increase their speed, so they were far behind Yi Chen and Shen Tujue. "There's a conveyor gate below." After flying for several hundred li, Yi Chen gradually felt that he couldn't take it anymore. Seeing a conveyor gate below, he dived down without thinking. Poochie! The incomparably sharp sword light wrapped around Yi Chen, slicing through several high-rank blood demons. Less than 10 meters away from the conveyor gate, Yi Chen immediately stopped the flow of Zhen Yuan, dispersed the sword light around him, and stepped into the blood-red whirlpool. On one of the islands of the Bloodstone Islands, Yi Chen's figure appeared out of nowhere. "Shen Tujue was only thrown a few dozen li away by me. After 6 or 7 breaths, he will be transported out. Ambushing him here will only cause him some injuries at most, and won't be able to kill him in one go. Once I'm entangled with him, the other 2 will come out, and it will be too late." The thought of ambushing him flashed through his mind, but Yi Chen immediately rejected it. He flew towards the boundless lake, making everyone on the island confused. Not long after, Shen Tuju was teleported out. Which direction did that kid escape to? Grabbing an astral reaching expert with his Jin Yuan hand, Shen Tuju sternly shouted. The captured astral reaching realm warrior pointed to the left in panic. There. Compete. Tossing the other party aside, Shen Tuju burst forth with speed, heading in the direction the other party was pointing at. Soon after, Pei Yudao and Gold Rock came out. The people in the vicinity observed their expressions, and hurriedly pointed in the direction that Yi Chen and Shen Tuju had left. When the two of them walked far away, the crowd started discussing. What's going on? The core elders of the 3 rank 6 sects seem to be chasing after that young man. It's probably a conflict of interests. Conflict of interests? That young man is merely 20 years old, yet he managed to provoke 3 extreme astral reaching realm warriors to hunt him down. No matter what the consequences are, this kind of means is enough to make people gasp in admiration. Above the boundless star region lake, Yi Chen's body was sparkling. His Jin Yuan kept shattering and splashing everywhere. Sure enough, the sword light flying art is still very unstable. Being able to use it before was largely due to luck. The sword light flying art was a secret art that Yi Chen had created when he felt that his attack speed surpassed his movement speed. The key point of this secret art was to link his body with the condensed sword light and then launch an attack. In this way, he could theoretically catch up to the speed of the attack. However, Yi Chen was still unable to perfectly link his body with the sword light. The balance between the two was hard to grasp. My speed is only a bit slower than Shen Tuju's. If I keep this distance, he won't be able to lock onto me and launch an effective attack. Unable to use the sword light flying art, Yi Chen wasn't impatient. Blazing Jin Yuan, his figure turned into a wisp of black smoke, lightly sweeping through the air. 20 li away, Shen Tuju saw Yi Chen's figure from afar. His voice, wrapped in Jin Yuan, transmitted out at an unimaginable speed, "Leave behind the blood evil stone. Otherwise, today will be the day of your death." Yi Chen didn't say a word. "Bastard, go die." Shen Tuju punched out. The boundless fist energy was like a long dragon, rapidly approaching Yi Chen. Peng. His protective Jin Yuan slightly distorted. Under the effect of the fist energy, Yi Chen's speed didn't decrease, but instead increased, increasing the distance between him and Shen Tuju. Damn it. Shen Tuju clearly understood what was going on. Although an extreme astral reaching expert's attack was powerful, if the distance was too far, there was no way to guarantee 100% of its might. When that fist landed on Yi Chen's body, it only had 30% of its might remaining. Since his attack couldn't do anything to Yi Chen, Shen Tuju didn't waste any more time. He focused all his attention on increasing his speed, closing the distance bit by bit. Dozens of li behind Shen Tuju, Pei Yudao and Gold Rock caught up one after the other. In the Blood Demon battlefield, blood evil beasts would only appear once every few decades. Each time, they would appear, at most a dozen or so. They and the deceased White Bone Ghost General had killed 11 blood evil beasts in total. The remaining ones were hidden in the depths, and weren't easy to find. Moreover, even if they killed all the remaining blood evil beasts, the blood evil stone they could obtain wouldn't even be worth half of that blood evil stone. Otherwise, they wouldn't have mobilized so many people to chase after Yi Chen. If I knew it would be so troublesome, I would have joined hands with Shen Tuju to kill this kid. Activating his Jin Yuan, Gold Rock thought bitterly. Pei Yudao wasn't too angry. What should be his would be his in the end. What shouldn't be his, as long as he tried his best, everything would be fine. The 4, one in front and one in the back, flew at extreme speed. Passing astral reaching experts, upon seeing this scene, all stopped in the vicinity, looking at each other in astonishment. Unknowingly, several hours had passed, and the sun was slowly setting in the west. Stuffing a Zhan Yuan replenishing 7-star pill and a meridian repairing wonder spirit pill, Yi Chen turned his head to look back. Shen Tuju was persistently chasing after him. The distance between the two was gradually closing in on the 10 li mark. At this moment, neither side was burning Jin Yuan. Astral reaching experts rarely burned Jin Yuan for more than half an hour, as doing so would result in enormous side effects. Yi Chen was able to maintain a distance of more than 10 li thanks to his tyrannical body. To a certain extent, he could burn Jin Yuan for a quarter of an hour more than Shen Tu-ju. Otherwise, he would have been overtaken 2 hours ago. The Blood Demon battlefield is at the border of South Rudra region. After a few hours of flying, I should be 60 to 70,000 li away from South Rudra region. At Yi Chen's level, the speed of rushing at full speed was extremely frightening. Of course, very few people would rush at full speed under normal circumstances. This was due to endurance. Another few hours passed by, and it was already deep into the night. Haha, little bastard, let's see where you can run now. Dragon Elephant Strike. Closing the distance of 7 to 8 li, Shen Tu-ju raised his Jin Yuan and punched at Yi Chen. Peng. After half a day of rushing, Yi Chen was already exhausted. Adding the numerous attacks he had received before, the internal and external injuries were constantly corroding his body. His soul power had clearly sensed Shen Tu-ju's attack, but he was unable to effectively dodge it, and thus received the punch. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Yi Chen's mind was a bit muddled. Hold on a little longer. Relying on his powerful sword will, Yi Chen bit the tip of his tongue and forced himself to be clear-headed. He numbly operated his Jin Yuan, maintaining his peak speed. Shen Tu-ju was also very tired. However, he believed that the first to fall would be Yi Chen. Suppress for me. Raising his right hand, he smashed down from the air, and an elephant condensed from Jin Yuan loudly descended. Break. Gathering his remaining strength, Yi Chen pulled out the thunder sword and slashed at the Jin Yuan elephant. Rumble. A powerful shockwave radiated out, and Yi Chen's figure swayed incessantly. Shen Tu-ju once again caught up to him. The distance between the two was less than 5 li. Damn it. My Jin Yuan is about to be exhausted. The 7-star pill could indeed replenish Jin Yuan, but there was a subtle conversion process involved. After such a long time of rushing, the impurities within Yi Chen's body were quite numerous. His Jin Yuan refining speed was horrifyingly slow, and it had already reached the point of being one disaster after another. On the other hand, Shen Tu-ju was at the peak of late astral reaching realm after all. His Jin Yuan was a bit more vigorous than Yi Chen's, and there was no lack of better pills than the 7-star pill in Floating Mountain. Therefore, his situation was much better than Yi Chen's. Seeing Yi Chen's speed slowing down, Shen Tu-ju was overjoyed. Pei Yudao and the Gold Rock were dozens of li away from them. After killing Yi Chen, the Blood Evil Stone inside the half-beast Blood Evil Beast's body was clearly his. In the future, he could rely on this Blood Evil Stone to condense a true martial soul. Laughing heartily, Shen Tu-ju didn't attack Yi Chen. He wanted to maintain his Jin Yuan advantage, and couldn't waste it. Inside his dantian, the Jin Yuan core started to dim. The green lotus sword chi that was revolving around the core seemed to have sensed that Jin Yuan was running out, so it started to shatter in an orderly manner, merging with the core and barely providing enough Jin Yuan for Yi Chen. However, if it went on like this, the Jin Yuan formed by the green lotus sword chi would not be able to last for too long. 1 disappeared. 2 disappeared. 3 disappeared. 6 disappeared. Only 1 green lotus sword chi remains. In the Blood Demon battlefield, Yi Chen had used a total of 2 green lotus sword chi. Of the remaining 7, 6 had been transformed into pure green lotus Jin Yuan, and only 1 remained, revolving around the Jin Yuan core. Just as he was about to reach the end of the line, a huge fog suddenly appeared before him. Yi Chen did not even think about it before rushing in. Where do you think you're going? Shen Tu-ju didn't think too much and charged into the fog. Something's wrong. The next moment, Shen Tu-ju's face was overwhelmed with shock as he shot out. Looking around, Shen Tu-ju muttered, "This is the Star Regional Lakes Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, a path of no return for astral reaching experts. I almost fell in." Soon, Pei Yudao and Gold Rock appeared. Gold Rock said doubtfully, "Shen Tu-ju, I lost him." Pei Yudao shook his head with a grave expression. "This is the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. It's 30,000 li wide. Even Sea of Soul Realm experts would have to spend a long time to come out. Bewilderment fog forbidden zone. The night was too dark, and Gold Rock didn't pay much attention to it. Hearing Pei Yudao's words, he immediately discovered the abnormality of the fog. The radiating of his spirit power was unexpectedly restricted by 90%. Normally, he could radiate 10 li, but now, he could only radiate 1 li. Chapter 357. This kid has it easy. Knowing how frightening bewilderment fog forbidden zone was, Gold Rock cut off the thoughts in his heart. He had never heard of an astral reaching expert entering and coming out. Once trapped inside, even Sea of Soul Realm experts wouldn't be able to save him. Perhaps a Life and Death King might have the ability, but who could invite a Life and Death King to save him? From now on, he might never see this person again. Shen Tujue, who had stopped at the edge of the fog, seemed to be unwilling. He placed his right hand before his chest and pushed out. This palm didn't have any offensive power. As the palm energy spread out, a fierce palm wind radiated out, blowing away the fog of several li. The fog in the surroundings seemed to have come to life, scrambling to fill the empty space swept away by the palm wind. After a few blinks of an eye, the fog became even denser, without the slightest gap. The fog contained a strange substance, making the transmission of mental power extremely difficult. Damn it! My blood evil stone! Shen Tujue gnashed his teeth. The blood evil stone had been taken away by Yi Chen, and was now completely cut off from him. Relying on the 3 ordinary blood evil stones in his hands, his chances of condensing a martial spirit didn't exceed 20%. He didn't know when he would be able to obtain another one. Rumble. The lake water caved in under Shen Tujue's attack, looking like an overturned cauldron. Pei Yudao didn't say anything and flew back the way he came. Rather than wasting time here, he might as well try his luck in the blood demon battlefield. Who knew, he might be able to kill 1 or 2 of the remaining blood evil beasts. Seeing Shen Tujue's flustered and exasperated appearance, Gold Rock's heart calmed down a lot. He comforted himself, even if I capture that kid, my chances of obtaining the blood evil stone won't exceed 30%. If Shen Tujue obtains it, the number 1 astral reaching expert in South Rudra region would be without a doubt. Hee, Shen Tujue, I'll take my leave first. Laughing heartily, Gold Rock turned around and left. Humph. Although I didn't obtain the blood evil stone, I still dealt with a peak genius who could threaten floating mountain sect. Bewilderment fog forbidden zone isn't as simple as not being able to leave. Just wait for your death inside. Furiously looking at the fog, Shen Tujue thought bitterly. Swish. Shen Tujue chased after Pei Yudao and Gold Rock. He couldn't see the stars, the scenery around him, or even the lake water. Yi Chen seemed to have entered another world, isolated from the outside world. Fortunately, only 10% of my soul power is restricted, while 90% of my mental power is restricted. The biggest difference between Yi Chen and astral reaching realm warriors was that not only could he use his powerful soul power, he could also use his mental power. And, the soul power was the source of the mental power. There were not many things that could restrict it, not even that strange fog. As this thought flashed through his mind, Yi Chen fell head first into the ice-cold lake. When Shen Tujue and the other 2 returned to the blood demon battlefield, it was already the morning of the next day. There were more and more astral-reaching realm warriors at the edge of the burial mound, no less than hundreds of them. With the white robe blade artist there, no one was afraid of the blood evil beasts rushing out to kill them all, since no matter how powerful they were, they would not be able to kill an extreme astral-reaching realm warrior and hundreds of astral-reaching realm warriors who were not weak at all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 3 streaks of light streaked across the sky and flew over. They're here. I wonder if Yi Chen was killed. He's probably dead. With 3 extreme astral-reaching realm warriors joining hands, no one under Sea of Soul Realm would be able to escape. Don't forget that Shen Tujue and Pei Yudao are the top existences among extreme astral-reaching realm warriors. Their individual strength surpasses Yi Chen's. What a pity. It's been many years since such a stunning genius has appeared in South Rudra region. Everyone discussed spiritedly, their faces revealing expressions of pity. Seeing the 3 return, The white-robe blade artist creased his brows. Emotionally, he didn't wish for Yi Chen to die. Rationally, Yi Chen had indeed died 9 times out of 10. He had a bit of friendship with Pei Yudao, so he asked, "Pei Yudao, what's the situation?" Pei Yudao said indifferently, "There won't be a second Yi Chen in this world." "Dead?" Pei Yudao shook his head, then nodded, "Not dead, but it's no different from being dead." He entered the 30,000 Li bewilderment fog forbidden zone. 30,000 Li bewilderment fog forbidden zone. The white-robe blade artist's pupils shrank. 20 years ago, his master had also entered the bewilderment fog forbidden zone, and had yet to return. At that time, his master was known as one of the 3 extreme astral-reaching realm warriors of South Rudra region, and his strength could only be higher than his. Hearing the conversation between the white-robe blade artist and Pei Yudao, everyone turned silent. Indeed, entering the bewilderment fog forbidden zone was no different from death. There had never been an astral-reaching realm warrior who had walked out of it. There was once a Sea of Soul realm warrior who wanted to explore the mysteries of the bewilderment fog forbidden zone. In the end, he was trapped inside for 3 years, never daring to enter again. Yi Chen entered the bewilderment fog forbidden zone. A strange glint flickered in Murong Qingqing's eyes as she recalled her encounter with Yi Chen. The first time they met, he wasn't that outstanding, but rather ordinary. The second time, his strength had made great progress, saving her and Qi Xiaofeng's lives at the critical moment. The third time they met, he shocked the world with a single brilliant feat, seizing the first rank of the hidden dragon list from Xikongsheng's hands, shocking everyone. The fourth time they met, Yi Chen found it hard to find an opponent among astral-reaching experts. He suppressed Whitebone Ghost General with his own strength, and fought evenly with Floating Mountain Sect's Great Elder Shentujue. Afterward, he even had the guts to snatch the Blood Evil Stone from the hands of 4 extreme astral-reaching experts. Such boldness and methods could only be described as shocking. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that although many people hadn't seen Yi Chen in person, his fame was resounding. His fame was unparalleled among the younger generation of South Rudra region. Even the older generation astral-reaching experts weren't as famous as him. Some people even compared Yi Chen to the peak geniuses of other regions, believing that he would be a peak genius no matter where he went, and couldn't be ignored. Even Xikongsheng hadn't received such an evaluation. "I believe you can walk out of the bewilderment fog forbidden zone," Murong Qingcheng inwardly said. Mo Yang stared blankly for a moment, then his face revealed an obscure happiness. He was very clear about the terror of the bewilderment fog forbidden zone. Yi Chen truly wouldn't be able to come out this time. For a moment, he felt incomparably carefree. At the same time, Li Daoxian, Yang Qihua, and Bing Ling all had different expressions. Wang Pao, get lost. With nowhere to vent the evil flames in his heart, Shentujue's gaze fell on the white-robed blade artist as he said sinisterly. The white-robed blade artist sneered, "I've long wanted to see your strength. Bring it on." Boasting shamelessly, "Die." The two no longer spoke, and started fighting. Splash. Waves rose on the ice-cold lake, and an unconscious figure was tossed up and down. The surroundings were covered in a thick, dusky fog. One couldn't even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. After an unknown period of time, Yi Chen woke up from his coma. Where is this? Without any strength left in his body, Yi Chen spat out the lake water in his mouth with great difficulty, his eyes vacant. After a long time, he gave up on exploring. No matter how powerful his soul power was, it could only scan a radius of a few dozen li. Moreover, this fog seemed to be endless, without any boundaries. Turning his attention from the surroundings to his own body, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. The situation was not looking good. 50% of his meridians had been damaged, and the undamaged meridians were blocked. Zhenyuan couldn't pass through, causing the Zhenyuan core in his dantian to be dim and almost dried up. To make matters worse, Yi Chen's internal and external injuries were quite severe, causing his physical strength to drop to a critical level. After being soaked in the ice-cold lake water for several days, some of his flesh had started to rot. The only good news was that there was still a green lotus sword chi left in his dantian, which was probably his only life-saving measure. Let's heal the injuries first. If an ordinary person encountered this kind of situation, they would be dead for sure. Fortunately, Yi Chen had the Sky Demon Flower in his storage ring, which could heal this kind of injury without a problem. A trace of Zhen Yuan flowed out of the dim Zhen Yuan core, flowing out through an intact meridian, and finally into the storage ring. Buzz! A piece of Sky Demon Flower appeared in Yi Chen's palm. Unable to directly swallow the Sky Demon Flower to heal his injuries, Yi Chen could only use his remaining Zhen Yuan to absorb the medicinal power and merge it into his left arm. The lack of Zhen Yuan led to the absorption of the medicinal power being very little. In the past, with sufficient Zhen Yuan, he could completely recover in an hour. But now, after 5 days, he had only recovered 30%. Finally, I can move. The Sky Demon Flower had not only recovered 30% of his injuries, it had also greatly increased Yi Chen's physical strength. With this powerful body, ordinary clasping Yuan realm martial artists might not be Yi Chen's opponent. Moving freely on the lake water was not too difficult. Without Zhen Yuan, he couldn't fly. Yi Chen picked a direction and swam forward with both his hands and feet. 1 day. 2 days. After a week, Yi Chen finally found a small island. Climbing onto the island, Yi Chen looked around. This island was only several hundred meters in circumference. It couldn't be any smaller, and could be submerged by the lake water at any time. On the island, there were some strange plants and tall rocks. Between the rocks, there were some small spatial cracks. Lighting a fire and roasting fish, Yi Chen hadn't eaten for many days. Near the bonfire, Yi Chen's face was illuminated by the flames, flickering between light and dark. If I'm not wrong, this should be a forbidden area of Star Regional Lake Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, known as the place of no return for astral reaching experts. Although I have soul power, it will be extremely difficult for me to leave. Moreover, with my strength, I can't guarantee my own safety. I can't act on my own. Losing Zhen Yuan had a huge impact on Yi Chen. He had no choice but to think twice. After eating some roasted fish, Yi Chen didn't continue using the Sky Demon Flower to heal his injuries. It was not that he didn't want to, but the last trace of Zhen Yuan in his body had already been used up. He simply couldn't absorb the Sky Demon Flower's medicinal power. As for taking the Sky Demon Flower, he didn't think about it. It was not yet a matter of life and death, so there was no need to risk his life. Unable to heal, unable to recover Zhen Yuan. I can only refine my will. He swallowed a meridian-mending wondrous spirit pill. Without Zhen Yuan, the pellet's refining speed was horrifyingly slow, and its effect wasn't very good either. Yi Chen didn't expect the wondrous spirit pill to mend his meridians. He only hoped that it could mend a part of it and provide the simplest Zhen Yuan circulation route. After doing all this, Yi Chen took out a blood-red stone from his bosom. Taking a deep breath, he activated his sword intent, filling it with the stone. Chapter 358. The blood-red stone was precisely the blood evil stone. As soon as it came in contact with the sword intent, it immediately underwent a transformation. A blood-red haze spread out from its surface, shrouding Yi Chen within. Kill, a large amount of evil qi appeared out of nowhere and battered Yi Chen's sea of soul, raising huge waves. Soon after, a grotesquely shaped demon head was condensed. These demon heads didn't have real bodies, and were illusory and misty. They would occasionally let out ghostly wails and wolf howls, their voices soaring into the sky. Suppress for me. The misty long sword floating above the sea of soul blossomed with layers of halos. The demons condensed from evil qi were swept away by the halos, vanishing like smoke. Following the disappearance of the demons, strands of silver mist gradually pervaded the sea of soul, no different from the mist surrounding the longsword. Silver mist, will? If Yi Chen's guess was correct, this silver mist was an illusory will. Will was formless, relying on the soul. The stronger the soul, the stronger the will. However, having a mountain of treasures without a method to obtain them was not enough. Blood evil stones could refine even more wills to a certain extent. My soul power is several times that of ordinary people, and the potential of my will should also be several times that of ordinary people. I wonder if 4 blood evil stones are enough. Adding the blood evil stones from the half-beast blood evil beast, Yi Chen had a total of 4 blood evil stones. The first one was obtained from killing the blood evil beast himself, and the second and third ones were obtained from White Bone Ghost General's storage ring, while Shen Tujue and the other 3 were surrounding the half-beast blood evil beast. The evil chi contained in the 4th blood evil stone was equivalent to the sum of the previous 3 blood evil stones. Moreover, the purity of the evil chi was far higher than normal blood evil stones. 1 blood evil stone was equivalent to 5 or 6 blood evil stones. Therefore, although Yi Chen only had 4 blood evil stones, he could use them as 8 normal ones. 3 days passed in a flash. The first blood evil stone had dimmed, its evil chi disappearing. Originally, there was only a trace of silver mist around the misty longsword. But now, the silver mist was 10 times more than before, as if a layer of fine muslin had been laid down. Transforming will into sword intent and fusing it with the misty longsword is a long process. Right now, laying a good foundation is not a bad thing. With enough will, I won't have to worry about insufficient reserves when comprehending sword intent in the future. Taking out the second blood evil stone, Yi Chen continued to absorb the evil energy within it. During the process of refining his will, Yi Chen realized that the stronger his will was, the faster he could absorb the evil aura. It took him 3 days to use up the first blood evil stone, 2.5 days for the second one, and 2 days for the third one. The silver mist in his soul had turned from a thin layer of silk to a thin mist. The total amount was 30 times more than before, but until now, there was no sign of it being full. It seemed like his will and soul power were equal, and the quantity of his will had not exceeded the limit of his soul power. In the past, my soul power was powerful. Its direct effect was a wide range of search, and its indirect effect was my high comprehension, which allowed me to learn things quickly. But now, my soul power has shown a new function, and that is my powerful willpower. Willpower is basically the means of soul realm. My soul and willpower potential has undoubtedly surpassed of soul realm experts. All I need to do is to excavate more. Without much hesitation, Yi Chen took out the 4th blood evil stone. This blood evil stone came from the body of a half-beast blood evil beast. Its color was bright red, as if it was dripping blood. Strands of extremely pure evil aura pervaded the air, dyeing the void red. In terms of quantity and quality, it surpasses ordinary blood evil stones. With a thought, Yi Chen urged his sword intent toward the blood evil stone. Buzz! A huge amount of evil aura gushed out, causing faint ripples. As the evil aura entered his brain, Yi Chen's mind gradually became dizzy, and a bloodthirsty impulse filled his heart. Not good. The purity of this evil aura is too high, and its might far surpasses ordinary evil aura. Yi Chen promptly bit his tongue and urged the misty longsword to suppress the evil aura. The misty longsword was an amalgamation of sword intent. As soon as it was activated, a frightening halo of sword intent spread out, clashing with the extremely pure evil aura. Pitter-patter. The evil aura shattered into pieces, and the halo of sword intent also dimmed. However, Yi Chen's sword intent was not an ordinary sword intent, but one that contained an immortal nature. No matter how strong the evil aura was, the sword intent never showed any signs of dissipating, wearing down the evil aura. Time flowed like water, passing in the blink of an eye. When Yi Chen opened his eyes, 6 days had already passed. The misty longsword doesn't contain much sword intent. After all, the sword intent has just reached completion. Only its might surpasses the perfect sword intent, not to mention the level above the perfect sword intent. Without considering the immortal nature, Yi Chen knew that he was still lacking a bit. The sword intent at completion was the perfect sword intent, and the perfect sword intent was at the same level as Shen Tujue. Of course, Shen Tujue walked the path of a warrior, while Yi Chen walked the path of a swordsman. Their wills were very different, but their realms were the same. Huff. Letting out a mouthful of groundless killing aura, Yi Chen slowly stood up. After absorbing the evil aura from the 4th blood evil stone, The total amount of his will had increased by 90 times, 10 times more than what he had expected. This 90 times increase allowed Yi Chen's future path to be incomparably wide, giving him an absolute advantage. More importantly, even with so much will, it still did not exceed the capacity of his soul. The strength of my will has allowed my mind to become much clearer, and the misty longsword is also receiving nourishment. Unfortunately, the sword intent is not perfect, and the efficiency of the misty longsword in absorbing will is very low. I need to accumulate enough foundation to push my sword intent to the perfect realm. The realm could not be ignored. Without the realm, everything would be done with twice the effort for half the result. Once the realm was reached, it would be twice the result with half the effort. This was the gap. A part of the meridians has already been repaired. Suddenly, Yi Chen felt the Zhen Yuan core in his dantian recovering a trace of vitality. The natural Yuan Qi flowed along the intact meridians and was refined into a small amount of Zhen Yuan. As long as I have Zhen Yuan, it's fine. Without it, the recovery speed is too slow. As the days passed, Yi Chen's injuries were recovering bit by bit. He had to admit that the heavenly demonic flowers effect was too powerful. As long as he had Zhen Yuan to absorb its medicinal power, all the injuries on his body could be healed. It had an all-round effect. Unfortunately, compared to other injuries, the meridians were the hardest to recover. After all, they were an important part of the circulation route for Zhen Yuan. Therefore, even though most of the injuries on his body had recovered, his damaged meridians had only recovered by less than 40%. This directly caused his Zhen Yuan to be sparse, and the output of his Zhen Yuan had also decreased. Shoving a 7-star pill into his mouth, Yi Chen continued to meditate. Rumble. After an unknown period of time, a splash of water splashed onto Yi Chen's face. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen noticed that the outside of the spatial crack had been filled with lake water. Wave after wave crashed onto the rocks. The island is about to drown. Frowning slightly, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. Right now, he had to find a suitable place to treat his injuries. He did not want to soak in the lake water all day. Standing up, Yi Chen walked out of the spatial crack and jumped onto a tall rock. As far as the eye could see, the surrounding fog was boundless, and the resolution was extremely low. Pushing his eyesight to its limit, he could only see things within 10 meters. Rumble. A huge wave, dozens of meters high, split the fog in two. Yi Chen neither retreated nor dodged. With one punch, he scattered the huge wave, which would be a nightmare for ordinary people. Although his battle power had dropped a lot, which was equivalent to a beginner astral reaching expert, the natural wind and waves posed almost no threat to him. Spreading out his soul power, Yi Chen followed his intuition and chose a path with smaller waves. In order to save Zhen Yuan, Yi Chen did not fly in the sky. Instead, he gathered strands of Zhen Yuan in his feet and ran on the surface of the lake. The lake was boundless, and there seemed to be no end to it. A human figure shuttled through the fog, appearing and disappearing from time to time. What a chaotic gravitational field. It's clearly not a straight line. The gravitational field of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was extremely chaotic. Sometimes it was big, sometimes it was small, sometimes it was twisted, and sometimes it was straight up or down. Previously, there was a slight difference, but in the end, there was a deviation of hundreds of li. If his guess was right, this was the frightening part of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Standing on top of the turbulent lake, Yi Chen took out a large water bottle from his storage ring. The scale of the bottle pointed at the number 7. The second 7 days have passed. I wonder where I am in Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. As time passed, Yi Chen thoroughly felt the terror of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Once he entered, he lost all sense of direction. As time passed, his willpower began to weaken, and his mood became fidgety. Hualala. In his soul power perception, there was a sound of water breaking 20 li to his left. There is a large object sailing. Raising his brows, Yi Chen followed the sound by treading on the lake water. Soon, Yi Chen arrived at his destination. The fog here was much thinner than other places. It was just a thin layer, and one could see hundreds of meters away. In Yi Chen's sight, A 10-meter-long, several-meter-wide ship was anchored there. A lot of people jumped into the water, and a lot of people jumped out, carrying large and small demonic beasts in their hands. Haha, this water region is indeed rich with demonic beasts. There is even a rank 4 demonic beast. On the deck, an old man smoking a pipe revealed a faint smile. Grandpa, how about we stay here for a while and go back after collecting a large amount of demonic beast pellets? Next to the old man stood a young woman in a green dress. She was not extremely beautiful, but she was small and cute with a well-proportioned body. The old man shook his head. No, if we stay too long, we might not be able to go back. The gravitational field of bewilderment fog forbidden zone is constantly changing. After a certain time, the light ball will also lose its effect. The woman sighed. You are right, but every time we enter or exit the city, we have to pay a rank 3 demonic beast pellet. The rest is not enough for us. Raising her head in a depressed mood, the woman suddenly noticed a human figure 100 meters away. Grandpa, there is someone over there. Someone? The old man followed the woman's line of sight. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.